Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to tradertv.live. We're seeing North American stock futures back in positive territory once again. Markets looking to extend the recent record run-up that we've seen this week. Another record high for the S&P yesterday. We got above 3,500 for the first time yesterday following the Fed Chair Powell's speech early on in the morning yesterday. Bit of a shift as far as policy is concerned when it comes to the Fed and moving forward, trying to control inflation and employment. They're going to focus on propping up the economy instead of inflation, controlling inflation and employment as far as policy is concerned for the Fed. The S&P reaching another new all-time high. The Dow also higher yesterday, 160 points. For its fifth positive day in the last six. We're watching individual sports betting names this morning, both DKNG, DraftKings and Penn Gaming, moving after Morgan Stanley downgraded both of them, although there was a price target increase on DraftKings. So we'll talk about that coming up. Electric vehicle makers back on watch as well. NIO moving in the pre-market to the downside following an offering. We also have yesterday's IPO to get to, XPeng, XPEV, the ticker. We'll talk about that as well. Lots to get to this morning. It's Friday, August 28th, 2020. TraderTV.live starts now. There we go. Look at Asian markets from the overnight session. Bit of a positive showing here as far as these markets are concerned, led by Hong Kong. They're up about 0.5%. You can see Japan in negative territory, though. Let's go over to Europe and see how things are shaping up so far. A mixed bag here as well. We have France, Italy, and Spain higher on the day. Everything else is lower. We'll shift over to North America, have a look at North American markets and see, more positive numbers here. The Dow leading the way as far as U.S. markets are concerned. So far, we have the TSX here in Toronto up about 0.3%, futures that is. Brazil's open, trading higher. Bitcoin to the upside today. We have crude lower ever so slightly, and a nice bump in gold prices this morning as well. Gold, it has been lower for the most part this week, so nice little bounce back so far this morning for gold prices. Good morning, guys. Arun back for Friday. Sean will be returning. I think he's in the car as we speak, on the way back from up north after enjoying a much-deserved holiday. Arun doing a great job all week. Going to be an interesting day so far this morning, guys. We have a number of individual names to talk about. There's some earnings to get to this morning. Markets, though, looking to extend, as I said, this record rally we've been on throughout the week.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you got the Fed, pushing the low rates. Well, in theory, much longer. Well, not much longer than people expected, but coming through for the markets once again. You mentioned Neo there. The entire EV space is going to be in play. I'm going to give my one slight rant against XPeng here. If you see me mess up, XPEV, of course. I get it, EV, electric vehicle, but a company called XPeng, XPEV, is going to screw me up all day long here. But either way, I think it's going to be a very, very interesting one. We don't want to get too far away from some of the travel names that we'll talk about, as well as the recovery play. Certainly back in full force. We're rounding out what is an exciting week in the market so far, despite the fact it's that sort of usual August, volumes lower. There's plenty of names that are gapping, that are moving, that we can find some active trade, and that's what it's all about, right, Arun?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially towards the end of the month in August, there's a couple actions later on today and on Monday as well that's going to be of interest to you guys. Dow Jones Industrial Average, there's going to be a rebalance on that today. I'll get into some details. I know Brendan has some details as well. We'll talk about that as we go on. Right now, futures markets, man, they are just being pushed up. Begrudgingly, they are going up because every time we go up, I'm seeing more and more selling. So I'll talk about the levels that I'm looking at on the futures later on. But first off, we'll go back to Brendan and we'll talk about some of these hot stocks.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We mentioned earlier in the week those changes that are happening coming up on Monday for the Dow. So we'll touch on that. Here's what's coming up a little bit later in the show, though. Another great educational video. Neil, very surprised about making more money in trading. We'll talk all about how to make more money with your trading. Lots of great tips in there. Some things you might not be terribly surprised with, other things that you will be surprised with. So Valeria will have the link for that coming up a little bit later in the show. We also have a lot to talk about as far as some tips and tricks when it comes to making more money with your trading. As I mentioned, controlling fees, one of those tips and tricks, I should say. And there's some other efficiencies that you can get out of your trading as well. Valeria is here. It is Friday. It is Valeria's favorite day of the week because it's Friday. She has her coffee and she is ready to go. Good morning.
Good morning, Brandon, and hello, trading family. I wish you all a great trading day and would like to remind you that every morning we're sending a free daily watch list. So please sign up at the link I'm sending on the chat and don't forget to like this video. Let's get it started, Brandon.
Let's indeed get it started. We have lots of individual names to talk about before the open, guys. About 25 minutes or so to go here. Let's get into the travel group first. Big pop to the upside this morning again. We'll start with the airlines here. I put them all together in one group this morning because it seems like a bit of a group-wide move to the upside. Airlines specifically up about 2.5%, led by American here, guys. 1.2 million shares already traded for AAL this morning. We talked about the tie back to some positive momentum, I guess, with vaccine kind of news earlier in the week. We had a number of companies coming out with positive news on potential vaccines. So here we go again with some of the travel names here, guys. AAL leading the way, 2.5% here.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to talk about Carnival maybe a little bit after this, but there were some good plays in AAL this week, sort of if we can look at these sort of breakout to the upside yesterday. You did have a parabolic move. Somewhat of a parabolic move on a flush a few sessions ago as well. So there have been some opening opportunities. It's interesting to me that we see this consolidation at this 1350 top. Now, the only issue with the break that I sort of had when I wrote this one down is you get to that 70 area break, and you had this chop where it rolled over a few sessions ago. And I think the problem with the top end break is it's going to have that chop into the 14 zone, probably a little bit more clear sailing if you get a push through that price, which does lead me to believe there's an opportunity to have it jump into this 70 to 90, roll over, maybe give me a chance at shorting it. We'll get to Carnival. You know what? Actually, I'm going to jump here. Sorry to go from one name to the other. Because when I look at Carnival Cruise Lines, however, on a similar time frame here, you pull this up and I say to myself, okay, if we get through this 65, 70 area, that's a breakout that I can dig my teeth into. And I think that's why you're probably going to see me do a long break in Carnival through 65, whereas in American Airlines, I'm going to stay away from it.
Yeah, for me, I'm actually looking at RCL. I think RCL sets up the best of all the stocks in that travel group there. I think RCL is the pattern that I like the most. The fact that we are above the 6750 from yesterday and we kind of just creeped up higher, and every time we got back in there, we kind of just bounced off. So for me, I'm marking off 67 even as a support level on RCL. It's trading at 68. Of course, it's got potential to the upside, but I would rather it come back down towards that 6760, towards that 6750, and then try to catch a bid there, only risking 50, 60 cents. I mean, if this trade sets up much better, then I will, by far, I will definitely step into it with more risk. But at the moment, I'm looking for better prices.
There was that news, guys, we mentioned, I want to say about a month ago, we were talking about Carnival's European arm, which is ADA, based out of Germany. They said they were pushing back their restart of operations. They've updated that again. So some fall bookings now taking place. There's also some winter bookings taking place for cruises on that ADA line out of Germany as well. NIO to the downside this morning. Let's get into the electric vehicle makers. NIO lower after a 75 million ADS offering. So American Depository Shares. 75 million offering here, guys. This is a decent size even for NIO.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to update people. It shows me still in that G. I already covered that. We talked about the 55 break a little bit in the chat there. It's going to be in place. Unlike 15 million shares, penny stock had earnings and ramping to the upside, up almost 100%. But definitely going to be a mover today. So I had one win short. We'll cover that one a little bit later on. I just want to get over to back into NEO. We talked about this space. We did have what were some of the stronger moves to the upside in NEO. We took advantage of those. But if you look at yesterday's action and maybe not the best look here. If you look at yesterday's action, some serious resistance through the top at that 20.50 area, holding $20. We're now gapping into the bottom of yesterday. We had 18.75. You go a couple of days ago, that 18.25 area. So I would prefer to be taking a short trade, through that 75 range into 25 for a bit of a scalp, hold the high of the day that we have. It's like 19.25, just a little bit above that. That'd be the way that I want to approach it. I also feel like if 18 can't hold, we know how much NEO can move. When it comes to volatility, at least, I feel like that might be a trade in itself. Any shorts I have are going to be into that 18 range, and I would make a decision when that 18 breaks whether I wanted to continue that short trade, which could open up some floodgates. It is a Friday, so I would expect there to be some increased volume off of the open and then tapering off, maybe a little bit more than normal. So the best trade on NEO might just be that first half an hour.
Yeah, for me, I've got for NEO, I'm marking off 21 even as the top level, and the only level really I can really work with, because I'm seeing a ton of action here from yesterday around that 20 through 2040. There's a lot of activity there. So if I'm going to try and look at that 21, I'm definitely going to be looking at shorts around that 20 if we start to hesitate. Of course, if the 21 breaks, that means all of this is broken, so we can actually continue our move. So 21 is a level I'm keeping an eye on NEO. And I just want to quickly point out before we go back to Brendan, I'm also keeping an eye on JE. It is moving quite a bit in the pre-market. I think that's something to watch for the rest of the day as well. It's a 62-cent stock, so that might be of interest for a lot of people there.
Yeah, we will touch on JE coming up here as well, guys. HP Incorporated, the next one on the list. Sign up for the watch list, guys, if you haven't already. Follow along with us as we kick things off every single day. The market is open from 9 a.m. until 9:30. We go through everything that's moving around. Try and get that watch list out to you as early as possible every single day. So Valeria will have the link for you in the chat. If you haven't signed up for the watch list, do so. Let's go to HP Incorporated. They benefited from increased work from home demand. Obviously, lots of people needing maybe new computers or a computer in general. So decent report for HPQ here. The ticker, obviously, guys, seeing a decent bump to the upside this morning.
Absolutely. Actually, sort of following what's been a slow and steady climb up on HP here. And I think, probably the most profitable strategy has been if you were swinging, just sort of buying any of these dips. That's not what I'll be looking at today. If I do make a trade here, and again, volume is king, and we only have 63,000 shares in the pre-market on HP. So a grain of salt here, not something I'm going to be getting into right off at 9:30. If it does at some point give you a 1950 area break, something like this level, it needs to get through. It's sort of worth noting. If we can jump quickly into this time frame, there was one wick up, and I want to try to ignore that. That's why you saw that on the daily chart. Forget about this. I'm not too concerned about that. I think 1950 is going to be the breakout price. It's just not enough volume to be interesting to me off the bat on HP.
I agree with Neil. He says it's not enough volume. I actually can't read it. I don't know how to read this chart, so I'm going to stay away from this. It's a little too messy for my liking. I like cleaner reads. So we're going to just move on to the next stock there, Brendan.
Another vaccine-related name is the next stock, IBIO Incorporated, recent high flyer, big mover as well. IBIO announcing a new deal with Planet Biotech for the development of a COVID-19 therapeutic and treatment. They're going to team up and work together on potential treatment. The agreement will see IBIO obtain an exclusive license for the current treatment that Planet Biotech is working on. So we've looked at it many times on the show, guys. IBIO to the upside this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth. It's going to look very interesting if you go to yesterday's top to look at that 280 level. If you just draw it back a little bit further, you're going to see, this did come from not too long ago, $5, guys. So it was a very, very rapid fall to the downside that found resistance at both $3 and $2 before making a run into that same range in the last couple of days. And we're basically only gapping into that lower end of the range. And that's why I sort of look at this 265 pre-market high and would say chop from here to 280, chop from there to $3. That kind of makes me want to think about fading into this one. There's obviously going to be some serious resistance that I can play around with to that short side on a retracement play. So my first look is going to be if there's buyers that step up at 9:30 on the good news. I want to see a failure at any one of those prices, 65, 80, or 3, jump into a quick short in front on the way back down. That's going to be my play. I feel like the breakout, if any, might be at best through $3 in terms of return, but that doesn't mean you can't play it. I just feel like if you're buying a 265 break, where's your out going to be? And you're probably giving up 10% on that move when you've got possible resistance very, very close by.
100% Neil there. If 280 is the level, the first level I'm looking at, and then of course you said it, chop all the way up to 3 even. So 280 and then 3 even. I think if we get 3 even, then we can actually potentially move towards the 4s. But 280 and then 3 even, 20 cents spread between levels. Not my favorite type of move or favorite type of potential. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stay away from this one there.
We were expecting things to be a little bit quiet today, a Friday at the end of August, end of summer, but a lot to get to this morning, guys. Lots of individual names to talk about. DraftKings, the next one we'll mention. Morgan Stanley with a downgrade on DraftKings today from overweight to equal weight, but they did increase their price target from 26 to 37 on DKNG. Another one not heavily traded, really, in the pre-market here, guys, but I guess a little bit higher relative volume for DraftKings in the pre-market anyways.
Yeah, you can always count on the volume to come in. I think that's certainly going to be the case in DraftKings. This is, Rune always talks about chop central, right? So I would love to see this trading around like the 36 to 37 range, or maybe testing up to 40. To be perfectly honest, I don't really see anything that I love at these particular prices. Obviously it's a bit of a mixed signal, but when you talk about those moving price targets, a lot of times you get that mixed signal because they just haven't adjusted in a while, right? So they haven't reacted to the move that already happened to the upside. So as much as we're finding resistance off of that 40, and maybe they're thinking that it needs to be downgraded. Ultimately that 37, a bit late to the story there. I think 36 to 36.50 would be an interesting area for a possible bounce if we ever got down there on DraftKings. I'm going to stay away from that unless I see that price or maybe a test of 40 even. In the middle, I'm not touching Donkey Kong.
Here's the thing with DKNG. This is the 30-minute chart I've pulled back. Look at this amount, all this action here around this 40. That's concerning. I mean, if it's trading at 38 and I only not even have $2 on the upside before we run into something, that's if we even get $2, right? There's action along the way, all the way up there. So if anything, if there's a trade here, I'm going to look at 41 break. That's where we clear all of this, and then this can turn into support. So 41 is the only level I've got on DKNG. If it breaks, that's my trade there, long past 41.
Let's go to XPeng here. Going to jump down to XPEV, guys. The debut yesterday of the latest entrant into the electric vehicle group. So XPeng, XPEV, very active here in the pre-market. We've already been kind of rejected this 25 up here. Yeah, nice car. Randy liking the XPeng. Rejected up here at 25, guys. We're making our way back down towards 24. Both big-time levels yesterday.
Yeah, it was one of those sort of mixed result opens. I kind of wish I had taken one shot at 24 and then sort of walked away. But I tried that long. That one worked out the first time. The second time it did not. So basically threw everything away that I did make. I feel like this 2250 was probably the best break to the downside that you could have had. And that was the best trade I saw when I was watching XPeng. And the fact that we're gapping above that price makes me put 2250 on my radar. That's the only price I'm looking at other than a 25 even break. That's going to stand out like a sore thumb, obviously, and I'm sure everyone's going to be looking at that for a breakout trade. I will be as well, but it's going to be that 2250. If it comes back down there, I feel like a bounce off of that price could be rather significant for at least the short-term bullish aspect of XPeng.
The thing with IPOs, you don't get a whole lot of information to work with because it's only been trading for a couple days. Mind you, that also gives you a ton of volume information. So for me, what I'm seeing here, this 25 is it's quite hot. So that's the level I want to play off of 25 even. If we can get that going, we really have the potential to really extend this move. Going down, yeah, it's going to be tough. 2250, that could give you a little bit of action. If you're scalping, I think there's a trade there. For me, I don't know what to do with 2250, so I'm going to stay away from it. But I do like that 25. So 25 break is my read there on XPEV. One thing I do want to mention, though, XPEV, imbalance locator, guys, 1.5 million shares to buy on the open on XPEV. So that's something to keep in mind if you're actually trading this stock going into the open.
Yeah, that JE I saw there as well there on that imbalance locator, guys. A little energy name, Just Energy. That was earnings, so they beat on earnings right across the board. Wanted to mention that. Let's talk about Gap, guys. We had earnings from Gap aftermarket yesterday. They benefited from higher digital sales, higher online sales. Everyone's staying at home, shopping online. They reported net sales that declined 18% in Q2 with stores shut down because of COVID-19. That was well above, though, a decline of more than 25% that was expected. So that number was better than expected. There was also same-store sales that rose 13%. That analysts were looking for a 20% decline. So same-store sales up 13% on an expected 20% decline.
Yeah, it's one of those same situations where it sells right into support anyways, right? So, I'm basically looking at this 17 area, and let's try to go back. I have the 3 up here just so you can see, how tightly wound this has really been off of 17 for the last couple of days. So to get that gap up and then fade right into that level, it kind of makes you want to think about that sort of long off of it. If you can take that shot there, I just wouldn't necessarily hold. Maybe you can hold a few cents below. I think the last time it tested went like 5 pennies. You certainly saw it go like 25 cents or so. So you can definitely give it some room if you like that play. I'm not too enthralled on it being flat on the day, giving everything back. I feel like there's a really good chance there's going to be just be chop through this like 1680 to 1730 all day long. And on this Friday, I don't know if I want to be too heavily involved in it. I think it's worth a break down, maybe at 1675 as opposed to 17 even. You can make a small bet to the long side off it. I'm going to stay away though.
The levels I would look at, I think they have to be on the upside, because if you look on the downside here, yeah, you could say 17. Then Neil said it, right? There's a little bit of action all the way down to 1675. And in terms of like setting up a trade that you actually want to hold it, not just scalp it. For me, that's what I like to do. So for me, if I would take the 1675 break, then I'm running right into action right at 1640. How much is the risk? I don't know. So on the downside, I'm going to stay away from it. On the upside, of course, I think if we get through 18, we have some potential. But again, that all depends on how much I have to risk for this trade. So it's a wait and see game on GPS.
It's worth mentioning, guys, don't think we're going to touch on it, but Abbott Laboratories back to the upside, big mover from yesterday after that FDA nod for their rapid COVID-19 test. Was approved, obviously, so Abbott Laboratories worth a look. Medigus, MEDIGUS Limited, MDGS on the NASDAQ, another one with COVID-related news. Let's talk about Workday. We saw right across the board the entire cloud space. Very, very strong yesterday. Workday out aftermarket yesterday with better than expected results. W day on the NASDAQ here, guys, to the upside today.
Yeah, I like this look on the 3-minute just for absolutely just for effect to show what we're looking at this week, guys. So 190 ramp, and holding the top end so far of this move. We saw something similar, in this with CRM, where you get a move like this, and it actually was able to extend off of that. Now, keep in mind, there was obviously, going into the Fed and a bigger push up in the overall in the NASDAQ. So I wouldn't necessarily expect that kind of a move today. What you can look at, however, is this tight consolidation, giving you an opportunity to blow to some new highs through 45. But you have that psychological 250 level that's worth noting. Coming into the end of the week, I also feel like if you look at these levels from earnings in the post market, and then if they hold up as sort of support in the next day, and there's enough of a gap to fill, I'm always going to take a shot trying a breakthrough. So I wouldn't look at this 237.50. If the market starts selling off on this Friday and you want to look at a gap fill, I'd be more interested in catching like a 236.50 area on a work day. It's again very, very light volume, so I don't think it's going to be top of list. I really prefer CCL and NEO that are churning through shares in the pre-market as opposed to jumping into here. But I think at some point we're going to have to dip into workday, even if it's like a half an hour in the market. We'll check back in on it.
Yeah, for me, I'm actually marking off the top and the bottom of this move here. So 246 on the top end. If we break past, I'm going to look for an extension. Of course, 234.50 on the bottom tells me there's enough for me to turn around and take the short. So those are the two edges I'm going to look at. And of course, if we break either end, I'll be in. I do want to point out one thing with you'll see on the ticker is that I am short NTNX. It's now another name in the cloud space here. I'm short just underneath 2430 with 2580 as a stop. I think this has done enough for me to take a shot on the short side. So 2430, just underneath 2430 is a short, 2580 is a stop.
Yeah, I like that one. Nutanix, IT firm with earnings as well. Let's talk about the overall market here. Before we get to the open, Arun, we did get above 3,500 yesterday on the ES aftermarket and overnight again as well. But a bit of a tight consolidation forming here on the overall futures heading towards the open. What do we need to look at today?
There's a lot going on that it's very hard to understand what it is. So here's what I've got. 3460 is still the bottom level. We've been working that level for a couple of days now. 3460 is the level I'm going to work with. On the top end, I've got 3510 marked off. The reason I haven't marked off is because I am seeing some selling above 3500. So if we take 3510, that should pass the selling. So I just want to see what happens past 3510 or in front of 3510, to be fair. And so for me, if it comes back down towards 3580, late session yesterday, what I did yesterday is after this move down here around 1 o'clock or so, I stepped into the long around 3580 and took a ride up all the way down to all the way up to 34.95. So sometimes the trades are not going to happen early at all. This one took until 1 p.m. for me to actually find a read on this. Mind you, I was looking at this all morning with you guys. So sometimes it takes some time. So again, same level, 34.80 down towards 34.60 is the long that I'm going to be looking for. And if we take 35.10, depending on what the stop is, I will like to go for the long, but it all depends entirely on where the stop is, because right now I can't see any other level that I can work with to put a stop down. So 35.10 marked off just to see if we have selling in front of it, and 34.80 through 34.60 is the buy location for me. Of course, I'm always reading it. I'm not entering right away. So it is all dependent on the volume and the action that happens inside those zones.
All right, guys, one more to get to here. Metagus, we just talked about it briefly here, but MDGS still higher, 15%. So they're expanding their business by acquiring a couple, too, in fact, smaller companies. So popping up here, you can see on the daily chart on that news today. But we're back into this kind of choppy mess from the past 2 months, if you want to go back to the beginning of May. 170 up to 180 is the top end of this range. So watch 170 up to 180 as far as MDGS is concerned. This is 170 in this area, so kind of already rejected off of that a little bit. And then 180 above that is the top of the pre-market range for MDGS. Couple minutes to go, guys.
Absolutely. One more to get to on our watch list. I mean, there's a few names on there that we haven't talked about that we most certainly will. But Abbott Labs, of course, coming through with their $5 test. We got that news yesterday. We were able to successfully fade that move, selling it off the open there. And I think, today you are seeing, at least for half of the pre-market, we were above that 114 area top. That was double tested in yesterday's action. And I think, if you get a breakthrough like 114.50, it's going to seem like a bit of a wall here. I would just alert till 115. I think that's going to be your breakout price. I will at least attempt probably the first time to make that same trade, only it doesn't look nearly as good as it did yesterday if we test the top and then roll over. I think there's just not as much room. We could bounce off this 113 area. It's a tighter pre-market range. It is day 2. But I'm not going to ignore breaking off the top. I wasn't reversing long yesterday, but I think Abbott Labs, I could take a shot through 115, at least today, guys. So lots to watch. I think Carnival Cruise Line through 1665 I'll be taking. Looking at NEO right here. I'm still holding that 1885 in the middle, and JE starting to come back down. So I covered it the first time. Apologies, guys. I'm not actually still short JE at 53. I covered a bunch in front of 50 and then got out when it broke back above 55. It's now back below that 55 mark, and I'll likely look to get back in at some point off of the open with only a couple of minutes left to run.
Yeah, a couple things I want to kind of point out just before we get going here. Today's Dow Jones Industrial Average rebalance. They are taking 3 stocks in, putting new 3 more stocks. They're taking 3 stocks out, putting new 3 stocks in. So just keep in mind, CRM, AMGN, and Honeywell are being bought for 6.7 million shares at the end of the day. And of course, Pfizer, RTX, and XOM are coming out at 6.8 million to sell. And Apple is being taken out by 20.6 million shares to sell as well. So there's a lot going on at the end of the day. Doesn't necessarily mean all those numbers are going to be held or actually going to be done just because everyone knew ahead of time. So there could be a lot of oversubscription to that number itself or to that rebalance itself. So it might not go the way you think it is, but just be aware there's a lot happening in those names. Just to keep in mind, because CRM has been running since the news came out there. So couple things I want to mark off here. CRM, I've got 279 even marked off at the top there. I'm looking for the breakout on the top end. Roku as well. I'm looking at just above 263 and 163 and 160 on the downside. And plan, we've been watching 6250 for a while now. So those three I'm just keeping an eye on really well. And of course, NTNX, guys, is now broken below 24. So of course, this is already 34 cents in the money. We're waiting till the open to actually cash out on this. So definitely keep an eye on NTNX as well.
Absolutely, guys. Just about 30 seconds to go. We have a special treat on the board today, or at least pulling down the bell. Or it's going to be our good friend Gus. We have a trading floor behind us, as you guys all know, not full, but we love you, Gus. Good luck, definitely trading today. I want to get back to, of course, NEO. Watch out, it is testing this 1880 bottom. The 1850 will be next. But time drop that countdown. It's the end of the week, and we're sad to see the trading weekend, but we got another day lined up for you that should be exciting. 5, 4, 3, and Randy is messing with Gus right now. That's what I love to see. There we go. Market is open, and you can see there Randy having a lot of fun, and he wanted Gus to jump there, I'm thinking. But Gus, he's too cool for that. He's not going to happen to you there. I wanted the break on CCL if it took 16, 65, 70 area. That hasn't happened. It's fading off right off the open, so we'll have to look to see if we can get a bump to the upside and show some strength. Market's starting to look like it wants to head southbound. NEO, sideways action, and same thing with JE for me right now.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on NVIDIA. NVDA, I wanted to get long just above 506, and this thing is absolutely gone. Right off the open is $1.50 in the money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch the chart over into NVIDIA, and I'm actually sending a bid just because I like it. I don't know. This thing's gone $2 now. I'm still waiting on NTNX. That is 64 cents in the money while I try to figure out with NVIDIA. I like this break here just past 506, and now this is almost at 509. Do I still like it? The answer is yes. There's a reason why this setup was there for me. So I am definitely going to step into the bid when it comes back down. So NVIDIA on the buy side for me, and this one here, NTNX, just short, just underneath 24.30 on the short side for me. That is 40 cents in the money. We are waiting for this one to play itself out as well. So NVIDIA and NTNX and Roku looks like it might be getting closer and closer to taking that high out. So not high, but that level I had marked off on the top end. So if we get that going as well, I like that long. There we go. Roku's getting closer and closer. And once we get through there, I will be stepping in there on Roku.
DraftKings to the downside here, but also CCL fail break through the top. If it can hold the pre-market low, we'll be sticking with it. If it can't hold that sort of 35 area, we're going to have to dump that one. We didn't talk about ANTE here. I saw you guys joking around a little bit in the chat. Ante up. There's no action here for me to see. I know you guys, look, just because you guys want to look at a stock, it doesn't mean we're going to jump to it. It has absolutely no volume, so that's why we're staying away from it. I do want to quickly jump back to DraftKings here. It is holding at 37.50. I wanted to see a test of that bottom, but about $1 lower than that to see if there's any place to bounce there on Donkey Kong. Brendan, what do you got?
Big move early on here for workday, guys. All-time high is already above this aftermarket level from yesterday, 246. So workday off and running, guys.
Workday, yeah. Workday is what I'm trying to get myself into. 246 break, I like it. It is so thin that I am not going to be crossing the spread. The spread is like 60 cents. There's no way I'm crossing it. So I'm trying to bid my way in front of 246. That is the level I'm looking at. 246 on the top end. 244 is going to be the stop on that trade if I can get a fill on the move back down. This is so thin, guys. Just be careful if you're stepping into some shares on this one there. And Roku has taken the top. Oh my God, everything's going off here. I got to figure out a way to get some orders out there. So Roku is gone as well.
There was simply no way into that move to the upside. I couldn't even cross like 30 or 40 pennies. I'm going to not get out of anything in CCL till we get a 70 or area break. But NEO here, trying to take this 1920. I liked it all the way to 1935 or so. I wanted a t-shirt that said I shorted NEO and survived. I might need one today if it breaks through that 35 mark and I don't make the money back. But Brennan, what do you got?
Peloton testing all-time highs here as well, guys. Peloton with a Goldman Sachs upgrade today, up 4% on that, guys.
Peloton again, I feel like every day you guys are talking about it, and every day I'm not neglecting to trade. I just had the long in CCL, basically a couple of pennies in the money here, but if we take out the top in NEO, I will be quickly out. I wanted to fade into this one to the upside and enter that target range at 19, at 20 area, this 1935. If we can't hold it, there it is. We'll go 0 for 1 on that one. It's already a roller coaster ride over in NIO. If you're tracking JE, it is approaching that 50 mark. And I was mentioning to you guys in the chat, 48 was a bit of a buyer that I ran into when I was shorting it. If it bounces off of there, I'll look for another entry point. But 48 break, I'm going to be all over in JE.
Yeah, workday, I've stepped in. I got the fill on the bid. I re-looked at that level, 244. No, I'm going to go down to 242. It's going to cost about $4. I think that's more than enough, given that 250 is a target on the upside. So $4 in risk with $4 potential target with 250. So 242 is going to be the new stop on workday. So I am long just in front of 246. Just to keep in mind, NTNX, I had this one long, 24.30, went more than $1, and now it's coming back. That's something to keep an eye on as well. I want to just switch over to the long-term chart, see how it looks. If it comes back above 24.40, I think this is going to be a small hit that I'm going to have to take. I didn't take the profit because I wanted to get all the way down to 222 even, 22.20 or so. Yeah, we're going to cut NTNX and walk away with a 10-cent hit on that one there as I figure out what to do with workday.
Yeah, I just want to I'll come back to CCL for a quick second here, guys. It basically get an average price in the entirety of the range. If it breaks the bottom, it is what it is, but it has to take a top off. This is sort of an opening range type play. Once it's outside of here, I don't want any part of it, guys. You might look to the downside, and I talked about this with American Airlines, and I feel like I should have done it. I was liking American less for a long side play today. Maybe I should have jumped into the short and hedging myself, and then if it was a break, I'd at least have one of these short and one of these long. You get a 13.50 already, but it's right into the chop zone that we had at the close, that 25 range. So if you get a bit of a base there, I think it's worth looking at. Abbott Labs gives you that first fade trade, but again, it's right at 929 before the open. Last time we were patient, waited for it to come back up, retest. I'll do the same thing again today, but I do want to short it. If you catch like 113.60 to 114 even, that's where I would prefer to jump back in to Abbott Labs. It gave me the entry when I was patient yesterday. I'll look for the same thing today.
Yeah, and PLAN getting closer and closer to that 62.50. I know we cracked it a little bit yesterday, but I want to see if we can get above it and actually hold our ground. There's a long there. 60.50 is going to be the stop. 60.40 to be exact. 60.40 is going to be the stop. And workday not cooperating at all. Every time it gets through this 246, it keeps coming back down. What do you got, Brendan?
Another one that reported, guys. Dell here up 6% on the day. Nice look aftermarket here after better than expected results. 66 up there. Just got taken out on a volume spike. So a nice look for Dell this morning, guys.
Right.
Yeah, I'm also looking at DraftKings bouncing all the way back. So forget about that 36.50, 37 area bounce. It looks like 37.50 has held up for now. Hasn't broken the entirety of the range yet. So I'm not really that interested until we get outside. Like I said, I wanted to see Donkey Kong break outside of its current range. Unfortunately, we're just not going to see it. I do want to jump over to Gap. Of course, we talked about sort of mixed results in Gap, and then at 17 possibly being a hold, not liking the breakdown too much at that price, and the long looking a little bit better off of it. That's going to continue to hold true, at least in the short term. If it dips back down, I'll probably be looking to take something in that like 20 to 30 range, give it to the bottom, and sort of a one and done idea over in Gap. I think that's going to be a solid play. Abbott Labs does give me the entry. I waited for it to come up a little bit. Now we are short in Abbott Labs. First at 113.45, around that 50 to 60 area, like I said, and I will take another shot at this one if I can get it closer to 114, 114.20 or so. I don't like 114.50 as an ultimate stop, but you almost have to give it to the high day, guys.
Yeah, what I'm going to step into as well, I'm setting offers out on AYX. I think that 125 break is pretty good with 127. 127 even as the stop there. So I've got an offer out there just in front of 125 on AYX. And looks like Workday is making another attempt at this 246. See if we can get through this time around. There's been a lot of hesitation. Every time we get up there, we are backing off after initially getting through the stops there. So this is something to keep an eye on. If we keep hesitating, I might just have to cut and run. Maybe not give it the $4 risk that I was going to initially give it, and actually work my exit before even getting there. So I'm going to be a little patient. At the same time, I'm going to be very vigilant on what this does around this area, just because of how it's been reacting after the open. Mind you, there's a lot of volume that comes in at the open, right? So when something like that happens and it keeps backing off a level, definitely something to keep an eye on when it comes down to Workday. Of course, Roku, it is my bid's down here, just in front of 163.25. It is $1.75 away. I may have to pull the order depending on how much higher it goes. If it goes too much closer to the 166, then I don't want the pullback entry. If it backs off right now, I'll take it. But if it goes any higher, I do not want it on Roku.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, you have to stick to your plan, stick to your rules, and I think, patience is going to be part of the game. I do have only on right now that, of course, Abbott Labs position, and still looking at a little bit at DraftKings where I might want to get in. Brendan has something for us. What do you got?
Another one of the SPACs, guys. EV maker Lordstown going to market with DPHC here. Diamond Peak Holdings to the upside today, back to all-time highs. So 2 days in a row, or 3 days in a row, to the upside here for DPHC, guys.
All right, something just came off on my radar here, guys. RCL, we were talking about RCL earlier. This level here, the 67 even level. I like what's happening here. If we can actually settle in underneath 66 or 67, I'd like to short with the high as a stop. So I'm just waiting to see how we react through here before I decide whether I'm going to go short or just wait a little bit longer. So RCL is definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on. And guys, back to workday, it just keeps on hesitating through that 246. So you know what? I may just cut this trade right now. Actually, I don't like what's happening here. I'll just walk away. No, I did completely miss that offer.
Yeah, for guys from Abbott Labs to literally a penny stock in JE, positive earnings here. And I think, when you get a test like this 1, 2, 3 times around 60 to 62, yes, I'm going to look for a breakout at 62. I think it's just the risk reward is going to be very, very solid. The liquidity is fantastic at 40 million shares already. But like I said, I was going to look for another place to go short. And it is a retest off that secondary lower high at 60. I like it when it rolls over first. I picked up 57 and change. I'll start to take it off. When it's a penny stock, you got to start thinking about making 3 or 4 cents at a time for the first level. And then from there, you can work into like 5, 10 cent when it's more about percent return than anything else when you're trading in these. So just wrap your head around it. Pretend it was $5.30 or $53, and then that's where you go from there. So I do take off some for that little 3-penny winner. I am looking for a test of 50, and then keep in mind, the first short I had in the pre-market, there was a buyer legitimately down here at the 48 range, turned it around a couple of times, has turned it around at the open as well. I'm not going to fight it. Unless you're literally trading with millions of shares here, you don't fight buyers like that. It'll break through that price maybe at some point. I'll just go short again, but I will try to cover almost all of this in front of that 48. Even some in front of 50s you're seeing here have half out now, so nice little winner. We're slaying the dragon on the penny stock. Over in Abbott Labs, however, we're back to flat, so 113.50, and it's just trading right in that range.
Yeah, you know what? I'm still trying to get myself out of workday. I got some shares out, but not enough. This thing is so thin and it's moving fairly quick. So I still have some shares that I need to get out of on workday. So I've got offers out there around 246. It is, it is messing around quite a bit. So I'm fairly confident that I can get that exit on the remaining shares that I haven't gotten out of already. And Roku just, the thing with Roku, I said, if it gets up this high, I don't want the pullback entry. I've pulled the order. This is no longer the pullback entry that I want on Roku. There we go. We're finally out of workday. All in front of this 246 here. I don't like what's happening here. Initially, I like the break, but I don't know what's going on with workday around this level. I don't want to be a part of it. Of course, I'll come back to it if it settles in. Then I'll definitely come back to it and use that 242 as a stop. What do you got, Brendan?
Just saw United Steel on higher relative volume here, moving up towards this daily top end of the range, 8 to 8.10. So this is 8 up here. We're coming up to $8 on United Steel, but volume, the story here, guys. Higher relative volume on X today.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to have a look at U.S. Steel. Anytime I see these sort of levels from, I'm talking about workday here, anytime I see these levels from the aftermarket on earnings, and you get this sort of 246 area that I think Arun has been mentioning over and over again. You just test and retest back through. I'm trying to stay away from this until we either break through definitively to the upside at 248. It's kind of what I didn't want to mess with. Or if we can get down below about 242 now, I might go ahead and bracket this one at those two prices and stay away from this $6 range. So I think there's going to be a trade in here for me. I just don't know that it's going to be making a guess inside of the range. I don't necessarily have the best read on it right now. I'm watching Abbott Labs pump to the upside a little bit here, and I think I'm going to look for a re-entry in JE. If you're going to, you have to be nimble if you're going to trade a penny stock. A little bit different than just simply buying or selling and holding. You can do that for a bit, which I've done on short trades for bigger wins, but sometimes you have to be nimble. I'm going to look to see if I can reload in and around that 55 to 56 area. Not as good as my 57 entry, though. Yeah,
and you know what? PLA and that 62.50, I like what's happening above it, so I'm gonna go ahead and get in. I have already done that. 60.40, just that's gonna be my stop. We've been working this are looking at this area for a while now. So I'm expecting a push. Given how long we've taken to kind of get through here and work this area, I'm looking forward to a push. Of course, if it hesitates like Workday did, I am out. You see what Workday is messing around with around this 246. If it starts doing that on plan, no, that's a no-go for me. That could just mean that this sell area is just extending a little bit higher. So that's a no-go. And Roku, man, Roku, it is just on fire, just completely gone there. I missed that entry. It happened right off the open. Very hard to get into, and I like my prices. And of course, I've still got that offer on AYX. I still like that trade. Even if it pulls back on me, I like that trade. So I'll leave that offer in front of 125 on AYX. And of course, Workday, I'm going to keep an eye on around 246. I want to see what happens. I don't like what's happening right now, but I'm not going to rule this one out. It could still be a long. It just might take a little bit longer to declare itself. And of course, RCL, guys, the 67. I said keep an eye on it. I want to see it settle in underneath before. And look at that. It's just bouncing right off of it. That could provide a ton of support there. What do you got, Brendan?
Vivo Power, a name we were looking at earlier in the week, guys. VVPR, another 22%, 20 and change anyways, coming back below $6 here, but we got up to recent highs between 650 and 7 early on there on VVPR. No significant news on this one, but moving on volume, guys.
Yeah, I want to get you guys back, of course, to XPeng here. At some point, we are going to test, it looks like, that 2250 area. It was a ramp down yesterday's price action. You don't really have much to go off of besides yesterday. And this slight little bounce up on just no volume in the pre-market. So let's see what happens if it tests any lower. I need to see it bounce. 25, of course, looks like it was hard resistance 2 days in a row now. So it makes me like the breakout better, but no breakout in store if it continues to slide like it has been doing. I do want to jump over to US Steel, as Brendan had mentioned here. Turning hard off a psychological $8 level. I think that's going to be at least a little bit interesting, but let's remember what this chop zone looks like. Above $8, $8.20 right there. I don't know that there's a good breakout trade. It almost looks like a better fade with some levels right there above. So I will not be taking a US Steel breakout at 8. This is the reason why. See the chop just above there. Brendan, what do you got?
Volume alert here on Big C, guys. We got all the way up to above 160, 162 on that Big C yesterday, but straight southbound so far today. It's come off $10 already, 146 at the open there. Just touched 136 for Big C, guys.
I see a lot of people talking. I'm going to get to that in a quick second, but I'll see people talking about NTNX. We're approaching the pre-market high here, that 25.40 area. But you look at, sort of on the ramp up in the aftermarket, getting just a little bit higher than that. I think it's for a target range for me. I'll try a rollover, but just know I'm not going to stop out at 40. I'd rather stop out at 25.75. I do like the consolidation that I am sort of seeing here in the short time frame. Seem to only have shorts here today. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to likely take this around this 25 when it breaks and probably give it a little bit further than normal on this NTNX. It does feel like it wants to give some back. Scalp first into like VWAP or something like that. But this Abbott Labs just keeps going in the money and teetering back and forth. Needs to pick a direction at some point. Starting to lull me to sleep when I thought there'd be activity in ABT.
Yeah, okay, so a couple things. All the trades that I really wanted, NVIDIA, Roku, AYX, they moved so quickly I couldn't get into them. And then I step into the Workday. I thought I had enough to work with, and look at that. It comes right back on me. So this is going to be a problem. I'm just going to wait. This is a 5-minute chart, by the way. I'm going to wait to see how this closes. If this backs out into that 244 again, I've got 242 as a stop. But if this backs out into 244 again, this level is a lot bigger than I think it is. So you know what? We're going to work away from Workday. It looks like that I might even not even get a chance to get out on Workday. I might actually have to take the stop hit on Workday. So I tried a shot there on Workday. I thought I got enough after we pushed through the third time. No, that's a no-go. So we're going to cut and run on this once we actually get this close on the 5-minute. Otherwise, we're going to take the stop hit. And man, Roku and NVIDIA are just absolutely going. I'm thinking tech is going with that. So I'm going to change focus over to other tech stocks here, Apple, AMD. I'm going to keep an eye on those and actually try to find a trade there that I can actually use.
Yeah, and we're going to be in the money like 30, 40 pennies in Abbott Labs, but that's just not going to be enough for me. That's not the type of trade I'm trying to make in Abbott. You need to see at least twice that before I take even like a third or a quarter of the position off. Workday, you talk about some of the tech running, and I see the ES sort of, sideways action, the NQ holding below that 12,000. I'm still going to take a chance at this retracement play through 242 and maybe try to run that to 40 and then the actual pre-market bottom here. So play within the range a little bit in workday. Just sort of it's holding this top end, and I don't want to do anything until it either breaks the top or takes out this little bottom. I can tell you over in JE, I was maybe a little bit too picky. I feel like with where I wanted to catch a pullback on this one, I was looking to see if I could get something. I said 55, and then I sort of got greedy, thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to give me 57, really close to what I have right now, and the price that I love. I should have just jumped in a little bit more aggressively on the reload. I could have been scalping that 3 or 4 cents, which is the better play when I'm seeing the volume that I am in JE. It's still going to be a long break for me through 62. And keeping in mind, anyone that didn't catch the first time I mentioned this, some buying down at 48 cents that I would like to take this position off in front of before looking at a break at 48.
Yeah, workday, I'm looking to get this out. Have you seen my offer? No, it looks like I'm going to be taking the hit on the stop. Yeah, we're going to take this, check this out, just underneath 242. There's no point in holding on to this trade. This is a mess. I'm going to actually move this level up to 248 now, see if we can actually catch an offer on the way back up. Now, I like what's happening here on the short side. I was concerned about the long side, and then I thought I had enough and went to the long. No, this is going to be a problem. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and mark the top off as 248, and then see if we can catch an offer around that 244 area with 248 as a stop. So workday has now flipped my read from a long to a short, and we're going to actively look for shorts on workday. What do you got, Brendan?
We had very limited shorts, guys, on that. JE, Neil, I'm jealous of your short. BIG, Big Lots, another one that reported earnings. Guys, earnings missed this morning. They reported down 8% here, just made a day low through 51 there on Big Lots, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about it is I wish I had more, and we'd be slaying this dragon. A little slow on that action on the board. It took a couple of seconds to trigger there. Can't be faster than that on the keys, otherwise you're in trouble as a trader. I actually gained my chops as a penny stock trader. I came in like everybody else, and I wanted to trade at the time. I'm going to date myself, the big four. It was like Oracle, and I was trading a lot of Microsoft when I started out. And I just happened to be really good at reading patterns on some of the small cap names, and it's good to sometimes jump back into that with JE. The only difference now is you really need to see a huge volume on some of these penny stocks for it to be worth your while. Whereas when I started trading, you could literally have a couple million shares in a day, and it would be worthwhile to make some coin. But you really need to see this like 57 million on JE here. I am still trying to get some out in front of the 50 range. We'll see if I can't get another leg out of here. Maybe hold on to a third of it down to that 48. Just to update you on a couple of other positions here. Abbott Labs, and I keep talking about the lack of volatility, whatever you want to call it. Usually, if I take this retracement trade, I'm expecting to see a retest of the bottom almost right away. It's holding, 114.10 or so, 114 area, which does make me want to slide my stop a little bit and not give it all the way to 114.50 if it doesn't want to give me the volatility that I was looking for, guys. Ultimately, I just have to do that. Yesterday's move was fantastic. I'm not sure Abbott Labs has as much juice in it today as it did yesterday.
So what I've gone ahead and done on RCL is that rejection off that 61, that gives me confidence that this is going to extend. And of course, when they take the high, I am in with them. So 64.52 is my long, 68 even is the stop. So it's going to cost me about 52 cents in slippage. So I think this can extend. Given what we've done, it's worth a shot to extend. Of course, it can back off fairly quickly too. But hey, I'm willing to bet some money that this is going to continue on as we push past that 67 and that high of 68.50. What do you got, Brendan?
HP going here, guys. Just about to take out that spike high from aftermarket yesterday following earnings, 1965. So watch HPQ, guys.
Sir, I missed that symbol. Was that Hewlett Packard?
HPQ, yep.
Right. Yeah, so I feel like this is the one that I should have been all over. Instead, I'm stuck. You had a troubling long in Workday, and I'm sitting here getting run on Workday on the short side trade. I don't know if I can let it go past like that 245 mark, and the breakout looking absolutely fantastic on Hewlett Packard. But if you missed it, you missed it. I'm staring a Workday in the face here, thinking that if it took that 241, I did mention, there was a decent shot that we could see that 248 area to the downside. So you think you're going to get a nice little win. It comes back into the middle of the range, and I wanted it outside of this range, guys, and we just can't seem to break out. I'm not going to give it too much further past like a 246. You have to cut the losses at some point, and it's going to be that area for me. As far as NTNX goes, my breakout point is not today's high. It's going to be that 25.75 from the aftermarket before I think it's a breakout. JE has broken both 50 and 48, and I'd be celebrating it for sure because it is my best stock, and I love Pennyland. But watch out for NTNX. That's top of my radar at 25.25, trying to take off the top.
All right. My screen is very interesting right now. What do you got, Brendan? We'll come back to me.
I was just checking the if there was a price target. Yeah, 96. So Peloton is what I'm talking about here, guys. So Goldman with the upgrade today on Peloton with a $96 price target on this. Just took out 76, guys.
Of course it did.
Okay, so I'm looking at the screen, and it's crazy. Sometimes this happens as traders, right? All the stocks that you want in or you want to get into, you can't get into because you know there's a lot happening, and then you look back and all the charts are gone, and Roku is completely taken off from that 163 area. Nvidia is completely gone from that 506 area, and then you're stuck with trades that are like taking forever to move. Like RCL is just kind of doing its thing around 68.50. I'm still okay with that, and of course, Plan keeps wanting to push higher. It did get all the way up to 63. This is a long-term read, so I'm not concerned about this one right now. So we'll just leave this be with 60.40 as a stop there. So right now, I'm keeping an eye on workday. Neil's working the short side. I might just join him very soon with 248 as a stop. Given the kind of activity we're getting around this 246, yes, I took the hit the second time around after I thought I had enough to go long. I think, you know what, given how we're moving now, I think the short is worth a shot if we can get a good price on this, because the downside, the next level is like, what, $10 away in terms of targets, at least at the bottom. So you know what, I think the short is worth it. If you're gonna have to put up like maybe $3-4 on this and look for a $10 target, why not, right? It's gonna be, you just gotta make sure that the risk reward on something like this is worth it given the amount of action you're getting in workday.
Yeah, I got back into that JE. Of course, I said I would take it off in front of that sort of 50 and 48 area. New short, well, I didn't take it all off. The last of my shares at that 57 entry are out here at 48. The only shares I have now are the re-entry point at that 48 price. So this is all I got. Think of it like a separate trade. You get the first 57 short concluded here at about that 48 mark when it bounced back up. This is a new trade altogether. I think you got to take this from about here to this little, 51 scenario. You don't want to necessarily give it all the way back to like 55, 56. You play it in sort of ranges, guys. That's what it's all about. I just got to jump over very quickly to Abbott Labs, which once again resisting, finally breaking to the downside. I'm going to try to take this one out in front of that low of the day. Watch out, of course, though, because workday, I stink on this one today. It's not a good work day for, well, I shouldn't say that overall. It hasn't yet broken this sort of 245.50 area. If it does, I'm looking like a $3 hit on that name. $3 was the first target to the downside, and then if it broke the low, you get an extended move. It does seem like it just wants to chop us out here in the middle of the range. And I don't know how much I want to dig in to that type of a trade when there's other stocks that are definitely moving it a little bit better for me over here.
Yeah, Neil, I'm joining there on the short there. I've gone ahead and gotten short. 244.49 is my entry. It is hanging around that price right now, but it is so thin it can just go without even telling you anything. So 244.49 is my short. 248 is going to be the stop. I'm going to give it a chance to go on the short side. After messing around with this 246, I'm willing to take a shot here. It's only going to cost me about $3.50 plus slippage. In the meantime, RCL is going towards 69. Actually, it's crossed 69, so that's a cool 50 cents in the money on RCL. We were looking for this extension. We only put up 50 cents in risk anyways. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip down to the smaller time frame chart, 5-minute chart. We're at 1-to-1 risk. I'm going to use a trailing system on this to make sure that I can actually lock in some profits. So in the event that it comes back, I am actually flat on this trade in the event that it comes back. And of course, plan, PLAN, hanging around that 62.50 area. We're okay. Let this one ride for now. I'm just going to be actively looking to get out on RCL in the first half if we can't maintain above the 69.
I'm going to go ahead and take off a little bit of Abbott Labs here, just a quarter at that on a 113 break. And I said, first leg, maybe like 50, 60 pennies might be what it gives us. So that's what I'm going to have to accept here for that one. I'm going to hang on to not as good a price as you, of course, in workday. I got like 43 here, as an average price. We'll see what happens with it, trying to head back to the downside. And I'll take another leg out and have half out on Abbott if it tries to make a break of that 112.50 area. I do see you guys talking a little bit about XPeng, and it's very binary for me. I mean, it's been XPeng, XPEV, of course. I really wanted that 25 break. It just hasn't shown the strength, so I want to see if there's consolidation at that 22.50. It's a shot in the dark based on the fact that it was a breakdown through that price yesterday and some acceleration through it, that maybe there'll be some significance and a buyer down there that we can work off of. I'm not guaranteeing it, but if I see a buyer step up, I will take a shot here, maybe long in front of 22.50. Just watch out. I mean, it's relatively thin. As good as the volume is, liquidity maybe a bit of a problem. So you have like a hard stop there at an even dollar level. There could be some significant slippage on the other side of it. And what I mean is when it trades through like this 23 here, maybe you might be crossing down 20, 30 cents and losing that instantly. Not like 5 or 10 pennies on the south side of a level like that. So do watch out with share size and how far you cross with stop orders. I got to keep that in mind for sure. Here is XPeng, thinly traded and not giving me the strength that I was hoping for the last couple of days.
Guys, RCL absolutely on fire. I've taken some just above RCL. I've gotten out at, what was the price? 69.07 is the price that I got out on RCL, right around here, just in front of that high that we put in the second time. I thought it was hesitating enough in front of 69, so I cashed them out. The remaining stop is still 68 even. You know what? Shout out to production for bringing this through, and someone in the chat actually mentioned this idea. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say pew. So on RCL, we've got this. Hey guys, where's the
Boo.
production? No, it's not working. Okay, we had an animation that was supposed to be hype. That was an absolute fail. So I'm just gonna say pew, and hopefully production can fix that at some point. But we had a great animation lined up for it, and I don't know what happened. That was an absolute fall on your face. But you know what?
I had my hands off my keys. I was leaning back, and I got my program monitor waiting for the debut of the pew, and then I get absolutely disappointed. Thankfully, at least I can say that Abbott Labs is taking out the bottom here, so we'll line this one up and knock it down. It's good to hit a strike on Abbott Labs and JE over here, but it's a fail on NSYS. We'll see what happens on workday. I mean, it's so far looking like it might want to give it back for me here, but that's going to be a negative stock. And then CCL, I got wicked out. I got to show you how ugly that one is. I will at least consider, I'm not going to consider, I am going to move my trail. I talked about that 114.50. You got to give it to like 114 even or something closer to break even right now on Abbott Labs. If we can extend this move, what we're talking about here, and apologies, my 3 and 10 are not working, so you have to show it on the daily chart. I think there's a chance you can get down to that 110 mark for an absolute target, guys. That's what we're looking for. If we can hold below that 112 mark, it's the second half of the trade into that 110 that I'm looking for Abbott. Similar to yesterday, it should be hopefully as good of a win on that. There we go. Caesar with the super chat, he wants to see the pew. And Valeria, thank you for the reload on the coffee. That's how we get through and give you guys the energy that you got, know and love. We're going to make sure we get that animation. I think it's going to be awesome, Maroon.
Yeah, I was so glad that they actually came up with this. I just didn't have a trade yesterday where I could use it on. So I'm just going to go ahead and start pressing random buttons, see if my, oh, that one works. It's just the one animation that doesn't work. By the way, guys, join and subscribe to our channel. Just help us out here. Grab some more people, bring them into the fold so we can actually get this community going there. What do you got, Brendan? No, we don't have anything, Brendan. It works now? All right, so we're going to Brendan now. We're not going to Brendan now. Okay, so you know what? Hey, you know what? You guys saw that pew there. That is still on RCL. You know what? I can still do this because RCL is going back towards the high. So you know what? I can still say pew. I'm going to stop talking now. This is an absolute fan. Can you take over?
How about we do something that actually does work? Look at the delay on that one.
That delay is ridiculous.
Falling off the face of the earth here at this point, and also timber action over in Abbott Labs. Wow, Arun is like the king of patience, I find, but I really had to be patient with this trade on Abbott, and I feel like the only mistake I made was not sort of maybe increasing my confidence and maybe taking this breakdown through 113.20 to add to it, almost like a separate trade. Like I've got the bigger sort of hold on, but then throw a scalp in there through 113.20 that I scalp 50 pennies on for maybe a little bit bigger of a position size, and then I can double dip on this retracement play. Either way, it's going to give me the $2 win that I was looking for in Abbott. It was the play that I like the best, if I'm not counting over in JE, the penny stock. So I'm thankful that that's going to work out here for you. It's already 10 o'clock, and JE is good, and workday stinks. It's about to take me out. Oh, it actually did just break through that little upside there, 24.50 there, first leg out. Let's go to Brendan at the big screen. It's time for Happening Now, guys.
Hey guys, yeah, 10 o'clock. Just saw a really interesting number. S&P 500 on pace for its best month of August since 1986. So good month, to say the least, for the S&P. Here we go, up another 0.3% for the S&P 500. The Dow exactly the same, 0.3%. The NASDAQ also in positive territory, leading once again our tech stocks, 0.7 to 0.68%. The Russell back in positive territory as well, 0.4% for small caps today. Here in Toronto, the TSX basically flat, 0.09% down in Brazil. We have BOVESPA in positive territory as well. Here's a few things moving around so far today. BlackBerry having a nice day. BB up 4% today. They updated some work they're doing on restructuring some of their debt and refinancing. So nice look for BB so far today to the upside. We also have this one, Cineplex, biggest theater operator here in Canada, CGX, 6% to the upside today on decent volume as well, worth mentioning. So we always like to look at what is doing the most volume when moving around. 2 days in a row for cannabis names to the upside as well. ACB leading the way again today. Another 3% to the upside for ACB. Guys, that new Tenant movie with Denzel Jr. this weekend, going to Cineplex?
I probably will not be checking it out in the theater. I'm very excited to see the movie. I got to be. You showed me the trailer the other day, like the most recent one. It looks like a fantastic film. I just don't know that I'm going to be personally going into the theater there. And we have seen the run as I'm looking at XPeng. Trying to bounce off that 2250 area. 60 is the current low. We did see AMC have some good moves, and that's usually been my preferred action to be able to trade in there, guys. I do want to jump back over to American Airlines, and I talked about how I probably should have been looking at least considering that 1350 break to the downside, given my sort of a bias in the name coming back in. It's trying to test that same area here, and I think if we can get a rollover, it might give me a second chance to redeem myself. Probably through like 1340 on American, then give it to like 50 to 60 for a bit of a scalp play, and then extend through the low of the day. Let's see if I can't make that one work, but I don't want to test it until it breaks to the downside and give me some actual sell action. On Abbott Labs, I'm going to move my stop, of course. Anytime you get this big of a move to the downside, not giving this necessarily all the way back to that 114 area. I will likely give it to this 113.20-ish range here on a stop. So somewhere in that range to lock in profits on that final quarter. Otherwise, it's a 110 target for me. Binary here either goes down to 110, triggers me for a nice little $3 plus winner, or we get out for about like 20 cents worth of a win on the last quarter, guys.
All right, so a couple updates on what I've been doing. RCL, I've moved out of the way at 69. It was 1-to-1 risk reward. Remember, I got in just above 50, 68 even as a stop, and I got out just around average price, just above 69. So for me, that's a 1-to-1 trade. The reason I did that, I really liked the long, but the fact that we were kind of really backing away from the 69 in terms of volume, not in terms of action, but in terms of volume. There's a lot of volume that was coming in and rejecting the 69. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and walk away. 1-to-1 is good enough for me here, and I'll just take my 50 cents and walk away. On workday, oh boy, workday is taking me for a ride here. So you know what? I'm still short here. I'm still short just in front of 50. 244.50 is still the exact price, 244.49. is my short, and I'm still riding this one out. The reason I'm still waiting in this one here is because of the amount of action that I saw around 246. They mess around with my long quite a few times. And at one point, I thought I had enough, and the fact that that failed, that opens up the short side read for me. So definitely the short, 244.50 or 244.49 to be exact. That's a trade that I'm working with right now. That's the only one I've got left. Plan, I've dumped that trade. The fact that they're spending this much time on 62.50 around this, to me, this looks like this level is just extending. This sell area that started around 62 is just extending. That means I'm not going to put up the risk I need to for this trade. Why would I put up $2, just over $2 in risk for a trade like this? So no, I'm walking away. I took a 10-cent hit on this. I don't need to risk $2 for a trade that's taking this long to move. But of course, NVIDIA and Roku just rubbing it in my face that I missed these entries. Oh man. So you know what, Neil? Just take it away. I got to find other charts because I can't look at NVIDIA and Roku anymore.
I'm sitting here now moving over into Tesla, and it's sort of a similar sort of choppy in the middle action to like that workday. So I'm trying to stay away from it. The other day, I really liked a 2200 if it did break down, and then it ended up being like the greatest support ever, and basically should have been a long in front of it. So my eyeballs are sort of glued to this 2268. Not nearly the same type of force behind it. Yet anyways, in terms of trying to catch a bounce. Sort of a similar idea. But if I see some real actual sideways consolidation and then a bounce off, then maybe that's going to be the look for me on Tesla. I do want to quickly get back over to workday because like I said, it's been sort of a frustrating trade for me. I do take 2 legs at this. I do take both a small scalp for a hit and then the bigger term trade down at the 42 break, which I'm sort of hanging on to here, looking for the extended move. It just hasn't really happened on workday, and at some point I am going to give up on this one. I talked about not messing around with it in the middle of the range, and I kind of find myself doing that. It still has the opportunity to fill that gap for me here. The markets have relatively sideways, and if we roll over, I think this is going to be a good one. But Abbott Labs was a good read, and I loved it, and it's taking my attention away from JE, which, as much as it's been my number 2 stock in the day, it should have been much, much better. I'm going to show you in a minute what I mean by that. Brendan, what do you got?
Canadian Solar, guys. Nice look here for CSIQ. 52-week highs over here on the daily chart, 6% today. They announced they've secured some new financing for projects in North America, so they're going to be able to advance some projects a little bit faster than they originally expected for Canadian Solar, guys.
All right, you guys, I'm just going to give you a quick update on the futures just because we're backing off a little bit. I know Neil's excited. He wants to say something, so I'll keep this short. We are backing towards that 34.80. I want to keep an eye on this level. Remember, this is the area that I want to try to find a buy inside. Of course, that 3,500 is the reason I marked that 35.10 off. We were selling in front of it around that. So the fact that we're backing off confirms this 35.10 for me. So 35.10 in play, 34.60 in play, 34.80 is the buy zone that I'm looking at right now. It is coming down pretty fairly quickly. So I'm just going to wait on this one around 34.80. What do you got, Brendan?
GEVO, we were mentioning this one earlier in the week. Not seeing anything significant. They updated their portfolio, it looks like, but more volume here for GEVO. That daily chart is not the right one. There we go. We'll see if we can load this up a little bit quicker. Here we go. 150. That was the level I was thinking of. 150 on GE. Can we go back to that real quick there, Randy? Yeah, 150 on the daily chart, guys, on GEVO. Just a heads up. Big time volume behind that move, guys.
No! Okay, so I just got wicked out on Abbott Labs. I'm going to explain to you what I mean by that. You know, sort of what can happen to you at times, you'll get a print like this on a dark pool, and depending on the type of stop order you're using, it's just going to read the tape. It's going to think that it hit my trail, and it's going to take me out. It's going to be a winning trade ultimately. I don't want to immediately jump in at the bottom. So look, Abbott could make another press to the downside. Maybe I'll make a judgment call on where I can get back in. What I wanted to talk about here was JE and how, you know, workday took maybe a bit too much of my attention. When what should have been like Shaw would like to say, the put your feet up and this is your only trade and you walk away from it type of deal should have been GE today. You know, I had multiple shorts here, a nice one in the morning off of 53 that I talked about, that 48 buyer. I then got back into it to mixed success, of course, getting an average price like 52, taking some out for a win, then ultimately getting stopped out at 55, 56. I then jump in at what would end up being a perfect rollover price at 57. I then get the second rollover here at 49, double tap action, and here it comes all the way back. It's a 30-cent stock yesterday, guys. So if it were to fall to 35 here and I can catch a 14-cent winner on this second rollover, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to sit there dreaming for that pipe dream. 80 million shares in volume, multiple entry points, all kinds of room for you to be able to get out of this, guys. I'm going to be scalping out. And again, yes, this is going to be like a 10% win multiple times, but it's all relative. You can size up on something like this. You definitely have to understand the ability to work with partial fills. They're going to happen to you at times. So you are getting multiple executions on what might be only like a few orders here, guys. But JE heading to the downside, it should have been possibly my number one stock of the day. We'll see what happens still on a workday here. I can be happy about the fact that it's trying to roll over, but let's be serious. If we don't break 240, how good is this trade really? It's got to test down to that 237.50 bottom. Give me at least something down there for like, you know, that like a $3 to $5 win, or I'm not going to be overall happy with the executions on this name. It might look silly when I get out of half of this up here, but that was just not wanting to test all the way to the 248 top, guys. Not reasonable in the way that I traded, at least. Workday finally trying to come back down, guys. And I was going to say this before, but there was too much going on with trading. I'm very curious because, of course, we had that action with the pew, 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 and I wanted to see how you guys responded to that. So quickly, Valeria, how are we doing for likes today? Because I feel like maybe we got a bump with that little issue with the pew.
Well, Neil, we are doing great with likes. Very quick now. We are just 400 likes away from 1,000 likes. 400. So, guys, please, a little rush.
Hold on, let me do math here.
We're also just 900 subscribers away from 75 subs.
Okay.
75,000. That's That's what I'm talking. Look, I didn't know that she was going to say that, so I don't have a key ready to go here. So I'm going to say, let's punch it through. Thank you guys so much. I mean,
Who punched that?
Okay, yeah. I hit one button and Arun hits the pew, which is much better.
I didn't, actually.
Look, thank you guys so much. We love the support. It's fantastic to get to that 75,000. Like I always try to say, we appreciate really is pay it forward. We do this for you guys for free. Send it to your friends. Send it to anyone in the trading community that you think can benefit from it. That's what we're going to be excited about as well. But we continue to love. Let's go workday through 240. Let's get a big winner on that one. But we got to go to Brendan. It's already time for some upgrades and downgrades. Let's give workday a downgrade maybe.
Hey guys, yeah, a few things on this list this morning we've already talked about, and we're on the watch list as well. Sign up for the watch list, guys. Dell, I mentioned already, 5.5%. GPS here, gap in negative territory after earnings, but a couple of upgrades on Dell. 1K here, an interesting move off of the open. Did give you a bit of a trade on a couple of upgrades. On this side, DraftKings really the only one that Nutanix, a crazy stock, downgrade on that one today, but moving higher anyways. Here's Dell. Big test of 67 and a half, failed right off the bat. We're all the way back down to 65 on NTNX, but still a mover today as well to have a look at. That is the wrong one, ACB, but wanted to mention DraftKings as well, moving to the downside today for the first time in 2 or 3 days. So DKNG on the downgrade today, guys. Back over to you.
All right, couple things happening on my screen that I'm very glad that are happening finally. Workday breaking that 240. I got that out. Remember, we didn't like what was happening around that 246. Neil jumped in on the short. I joined him. We took that ride below 240, and now I've got some out. I was looking for the flush below 240, so I got it out just in front of 239.50. And the other one, NTNX, guys. Remember, I went short, didn't like that quick move. I got out. Guess what? A trade like that flips the direction, and then you take the break on the opposite side, and look at that, breaking 226 even. That is now 30 cents in the money. We're just sitting back. Guys, hit those likes. Here's the thing I want to do today. Today is going to be my last day for a while until we get vacation settled on other guys. I want to put in as much likes today as possible so that when Sean comes back, he's going to be like, Arun, man, come on, man. I want that. That is what I want. Can you guys just hit those likes, subscribe, hit those likes. Love that pew animation. Neil, how you doing on Workday?
Look, here's the thing. I actually just tweeted this out. I'm going to take some out at 240. Of course, it's going to be a nice little win there. I do take a small chop at this and lose, and we're going to make it back. And I'm still actually holding some of this position, so it still could turn into a losing trade. If there's a mistake that I made here, it was probably not being patient enough to wait for a rollover, right? The initial entry on a breakdown in the middle of the range, that's just sloppy. And I think that's one of those things that I got to get away from. I just wanted the short, and I wanted to be in that rollover so bad that I probably chased it a little bit and gave up like a couple of dollars of the move. So as much as if we get a further test and a push down to that 237 and a breakthrough, it'll end up being a winning trade. It doesn't mean that I did the best overall with the execution. So I'm going to be happy with it, but you guys can all rewind the tape and see the initial entry that was a bit of a fail here, guys. So you can have a plan, you can have an idea, but if you don't execute it right, sometimes it leaves something to be desired in terms of P&L. But regardless of the result, always judge your decision-making process. That's what it's all about. Sometimes results can lie to you guys. I might have a winner here, but I know I can do a heck of a lot better with a trade like this.
Yeah, you know what? So here's the thing with Workday. We've already cashed out some below 240. The reason I cashed them out is because you were walking right into this area around 240. So this trade was meant to go down through here, so now I'm going to trail it. If we get back into this 243.50 area, I'll walk away. I've already made $4.50 on the first little bit. I can walk away with $1 on the second half and be happy with it. What do we? We're going to go to Brendan? All right,
indeed. Yeah, let's have a look, guys. Not at Moxie. We'll switch that over to BMCH. Little M&A deal here. Well, not terribly little, but a $2.5 billion all-stock deal here. So Builders First Source buying BMCH today. $2.5 billion all-stock deal, guys. So all-time highs up here for BMCH today, guys.
There's another look there. I mean, usually I have some plays for those, and I feel like, today with so much going on, I do want to take a step back. I just want to review a couple of things I'm watching here for, and one was going to be DraftKings. Let's quickly go. I think I finally have my 3-minute, which crashed a bit before. I just wanted to show you that I was waiting for a test of this 337 or 3650 area on DraftKings. It is still continuing to fall. I didn't want to immediately jump into the short. I had enough names that I was shorting, to be honest with you, that it just didn't feel like I needed to pile on. So, that's the only reason I haven't taken that trade. I know some of you guys are also watching XPeng. I really haven't had too much conviction in anything in XPEV, of course. And yes, it might travel back through this 2250, but I think I might have mentioned it in the chat or said it when it came down. There just wasn't a bid that impressed me too much. And it was a guess at yesterday's price action that I thought maybe 2250 would have some significance. And yeah, it might roll through and bounce back and then go to the upside. But if I don't see a trade, I just can't definitively put it on there, guys. So yeah, there might be something to that 2250. It just felt like I wanted to see an actual obvious support level that I could jump in front of, and I didn't see it, so I didn't go long. I'm still seeing JE fall, however. I'm not likely to give it much past to that 40-cent mark. I mean, look, if you're ever taking 10 pennies on a 50-cent stock, you really have to consider how far you can expect it to go. That's got to be a big enough winner for a home run. Otherwise, you should probably consider and maybe use more share size if you're getting those types of plays. I mean, either way, JE starting to round off a little bit down in the low 40s, guys.
Yeah, Neil mentioned this earlier about trading your plan, sticking to your plan, and adjusting if you need to, only if you need to, but sticking to your plan. And you know what? That's what we did on RCL earlier. We got in with 68.50, 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, and started to see a little bit of hesitation, action that I didn't like, got out. And guess what? It's turning around. This could present a secondary opportunity for a long in front of 68.50. Of course, that is entirely dependent on how this trades. The fact that we backed off this fast tells me that, you know what, this might be a little bit on the sell side here in terms of pressure. So I'm going to wait a little bit, but I am keeping an eye on RCL for a secondary move right off that 68.50. And of course, workday. Not making it easy for us today. But you know what? If we get through this for 243.50, I am out. I'm walking away. I've already cashed out 4.5 on the first half, and we'll take $1 on the second half. Why not, right? And ABT. I know Neil's been trading this all morning. I am looking for a short on ABT. What is it? 109 is the break that I'm looking for. 109 activates the sell side break for me with all of this buying in front of it around the 110 area. So 109 break right here, right through there would activate all of this selling or the buying that's been keeping this afloat for now. So just keep an eye on ABT at the moment there. And of course, plan, that's gone sideways. So I got to move that off the screen. And AYX, guys, I've pulled the order on AYX. I know I haven't mentioned it in a while, but I've gone ahead and pulled the order. It's gone way too far. So I'm going to go ahead and walk away from this while we go to Brendan with small cap recap.
Hey guys, yeah, Friday, a little bit of a slow day in small cap world. We'll have a look at a few though. This one, NYSE, first off, was up significantly more than this, almost 90% at one point, got all the way up here to 725. So just using this high from the big spike yesterday, NYSE aftermarket, we had a huge move to the upside, 725. So give you a really great opportunity just before the open there. This thing's now at $5. So 725 all the way down to $5. A great opportunity on the downside. We'll shift over to the next one here and look at MOXC. Two levels to be aware of, 228 and then 240. This kind of consolidation. This is the one from yesterday, involved in some M&A action as well. So a little bit of a sleepy trade so far today, but still worth a look. MOXC coming into 228 and then that 240 area. We'll shift over one more time and have a look at the last one here, MDGS. This was a tough one again. You had to be a little bit patient. This high up here, 175, got taken out in a hurry at the open. This was very, very strong right from the word go. So stopped out of my first attempt here on the short side, but there were sellers up in the high 90s, 95 to 2. So I moved that line from 175 up to 2. So now using 2 on MDGS. So still a losing trade for me, even with this secondary win. But the most important part here, make sure you do record that shift in area. So if one level didn't work on a trade that you had in the morning, make sure you adjust it for Monday. Because if we come in on Monday and this thing's back up in this area, it might give you another shot at that 2 level. Guys, back over to you.
So we try to show you winners, we try to show you losers here. And I talked about this in TNX and not necessarily liking the pre-market high break. I take a shot shorting in front of it, and I liked 25.85. And I was looking at the daily chart and showing you guys why. If there's one thing you hear me say on breakout trades time and time again, it's watch for the shakeout. You get the pullback into what I usually like to call like the first sort of resistance point or support level. A lot of times I'll just be looking at what the like a pre-market break or what the significant level was before it, right? And if you look at that pre-market high, and then you look at where this sort of candle after that break terminates, like 25, 25, 25, 35 area, that's exactly where the shakeout goes down to. Now, where I happen to get out is 10, 15 cents in front of it. So, the lesson here, of course, is there's no way you're taking this break and then wanting to hold through that little shakeout. Either you're making a decision right away and not willing to risk a heck of a lot, or you're giving it room to actually shake out to a more significant level. So here, either I was just playing dumbfounded by myself or misread this, and I think I actually just did misread the level, which is going to happen to you from time to time if you're trading too many stocks. Sometimes slowing down, only doing one or two is the way to go. I definitely got stopped out too early here. A bounce at that price is a reason to pick up some more shares, which would ultimately have a tighter stop, and then extend the move here. This is what I mean by that shakeout. I should have been looking for that bounce. I should have had more shares back in. I should have had the right stop. Obviously, it shook me like Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan back in the day with the greatest crossover that I've ever seen either way. But this is what happens to you guys sometimes. It's a great breakout trade. I really do hope somebody had this because the level was good. The break is good. It does feel like it's going to give you that dollar winner. I'm just not on board with it. Thankfully, workday came back for me here to make me at least a little bit happy. And then JE, which I'm continuing to hold on to, guys. Now, like I said, I only have at this point, like 20% of the position left. And temper your expectations. I took a bunch out in front of that 45. It's now traveling down to 42, 43. I'll probably be all flat. If it gets to 40, guys, like I said, if you're short at like 49 as an average price, and we started this one all the way at 57 since the open, how far do you really expect it to go? Right? I've already seen a 25% move to the downside from where I first shorted it. That's got to be good enough here ultimately. 30 cents, yes, I know that's where it closed. I just feel like that's looking a gift horse in the mouth, and I'm not going to do that. You don't always get the flawless victory, guys. Sometimes it's just about making money. No one ever went broke taking profit. So as much as I'm in deep here on JE, even I will be taking this one off in front of 40, and if it goes down to 30, great. Maybe you guys want to hang on that long.
No one ever went broke taking profits. You know what? I'm going to follow ahead and read that there for 243.50. We're going to take some profit on workday. We're going to walk away from the rest of the workday position. We made 450 on the first half, and it's about $1 on the second half. This is messing around between 240 going down to 234.50, and of course 248. That 246 level is hot. So you know what? It looks like it's going to stick inside that range. I'm going to mark off the range, and I'm going to stop trading in front of it. I don't like what's going on. So, you know what? The only one we got left is NTNX. So I'm just going to kick back in my Trader TV Live hoodie and look at fruit salad today, guys. They have changed the color on us. It is gone green and yellow. So there's a lot of pineapple and a lot of honeydew. I guess they ran out of watermelon. I know Valeria's got a watermelon journal on her desk, and it is annoying Neil because every time he looks over, it is shining in his face, so it is kind of hilarious. But I'm going to kick back.
Me. Like, look, everyone is trolling me with this watermelon stuff, right? Like, it's like I don't hate watermelon; it's just overrated. Like honeydew is better, and cantaloupe is better, and I choose both those in front. And Valeria, like, it's been in my field of view. Like, if you guys can see that look, I can only see like a little bit of her desk, and it was like in that perfect range where I have to see it every time I turn my head. Watermelon in my face, watermelon every single day with the fruit salad. I get it. We can have a lot of fun with it. Sure, it's summer, it's delicious. Enough of that, guys. Let's go to Brendan here for some news.
Cake popping up here on a volume scanner, guys. We're above this high from way back when, 3040, which was 52-week highs. So a couple of things on Cake that popped up of significance this morning. Victory Capital talking about a bigger stake in the company than they had earlier. And the entire sector, I mean, you can kind of consider this as one of the travel stocks as well. The restaurants, the hotels, the airlines, the cruise lines, all in that same group. So getting a boost on vaccine hopes as well, guys.
Hey, shout out to Christopher for mentioning this in the chat there. HLF, downside, major downside move there. It is, I think halted. He said it's halted. So I'm just going to, yeah, it's definitely halted there. So we'll keep an eye on HLF now. There's a lot of activity. You know, HLF has been one of those stocks that it's got a lot of news in the past with a lot of that, and New Skin, NUS has a lot of news. So HLF, if it halts, I'm definitely going to look over there and keep an eye on this, because this could be a crazy, crazy trade once it decides to open. If Brendan can just keep an eye on this and see what's going on with HLF, whatever the news is there. But while we're waiting for HLF, guys, NTNX absolutely on fire. What do you got, Brendan?
Yeah, there looks like criminal charges, guys, for Herbalife here. It's not saying wait for this window to open. I'll just bring this one back up. But it's not saying exactly who it is that is being charged. But prosecutors saying that alleged wrongful conduct occurred between 2007 and 2016. So criminal charges being laid on Herbalife, guys. I'll keep reading through this.
Yeah, like how big a time frame do I have to go to even express this drop that you saw before the halt? I mean, it just opened back up at 47, but I was going to say, like, if it breaks this support, like $41, is that what we'd be talking about here? So here's the gap up. I'm going to throw the one just to show you how multiple halts have happened. I would look at 48 and look to see if I can't short in front of that one and give it a bit of a shot here. But that sounds pretty serious to me. And I just got to, I mean, I got to take at least 1 or 2 shots on news like that to see if I can get into some Herbalife. And again, I'm trying to chase it down here, see if I can. I just got some at 46. Maybe I'll give it back up to the 48. I feel like I could get blown out of that one and then make another shot if it ever even dreamt of trading back up at $50. You definitely see me jump into that. So I do have 46.13. I'm looking for a retest of the low here. Just got to keep in mind, we're very likely to see some rehalts on this trade. So you have to scalp some in and out based on your tolerance to hold through a halt. If you don't want to be caught in one, certainly getting in and out rather quickly is not a bad idea. But I'm in the money about 50 pennies here. If it tries to test down another dollar, we could see another halt, so I'll probably jump out there. But I'll keep you guys updated. 48. Let's see if that can hold. Maybe dig in a bit deeper at that price.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Neil. I think if it pushes down, I haven't gotten in short, but I'm waiting for 45 to go. If 45 goes, I think I'm going to, yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
okay.
buddy.
Yeah, there we go. I'm going to try and get some 45s there. It is moving aggressively. It is really thin. I am trying to get some 45s. There we go. We got some 45s here. I'm going to put 48. I'm going to risk $3. This is more than enough to actually get me involved on the short side there. What do you got, Brendan?
Yeah, this is definitely not positive, guys. Prosecutors saying Herbalife is accused of providing corrupt payments and benefits to Chinese officials, including officials of government agencies and media outlets, to boost its business in China. So another little update there, guys, on Herbalife.
All right, well, Herbalife works itself out. Remember, 48 is the stop on this trade here. I'll let this news play out. NTNX absolutely on fire. Remember, this was a short initially, and then I didn't like what was happening, so we flipped to the long when it took off the top, and guess what? It is now $1.18 in the money. I got to figure out how to manage this because this is accelerating to the upside. So NTNX, how are we going to do it? I'm going to jump over to the smaller chart here, protect the first half, trailing stop. Where did we bounce last time? I think around 26.60 or so. So we'll lock in 60 cents in profit here. On the trailing stop, and the rest of it, we'll just let it go with the longer-term chart. What's your price there on HLF there, Neil?
46.13, and if it drops any further, I might want to get a worse price to add into it. And when you say something like, how are you going to do it, my old brain that remembers random movie quotes thinks, you're going to do it to death. And if anyone can actually finish that line and name the name of the movie, wow, I'll do like 20 push. There's no way. You could probably Google it and you wouldn't even get that one. So I'll do like 24 if you can get that and throw it into the chat, guys. There's no way you're going to do it. Google it all you want. You're not going to get that movie. But HLF here, I think I can at least consider the fact that it's moving a little bit more stable here. I did take a quick little dollar because I wanted to reload up at about 47 and dig in deeper. It's not even going to give me that. If we break this low, I might even hold through a second halt here at this point, having taken some profit off. But there's other things happening in the market, and I do want to get back over to workday very quickly because quick adjustment here. It's starting to consolidate higher, right? So what I'm going to consider doing is just stop it out here at 244. That'll be basically break even on the last entry point that I had. It's at the time now where the extended move may or may not happen, and it's been a frustrating trade for me. HLF is moving. I should have been more focused on JE. Let's rectify that and jump into the stocks that are moving more heavily. But Herbalife, going downside, one of the most exciting things in my trading career was watching a certain other network that I won't name by name, and Battle of Two Icons. See what I did there?
Yeah, I remember that.
Over Herbalife, guys. So it was exciting to watch. Good trade here, but actually trying to hold that bottom at 43.50 so far. If it breaks this, like I said, I can't find anything to like $41.
Yeah, I think you got to tighten up the stop now. Now that we're going towards that low there that we opened with, I think if we come back above 45.50, I'm just going to cut the 50-cent loss and walk away from this.
It might halt again.
But you know what? Yeah, it might halt again. That's great because we are $1.60 in the money, and I know Neil's got another dollar on top of that, so he's killing it. Yeah, it is going to halt there, right at 43.40.
I'm going to hold this through this halt. I've sort of already taken some profit. And what I mean, but the reason that I knew that it was about to halt is you had those percentage bounds on limit up, limit down. And what will happen is when it enters that bound on the NASDAQ, New York, whatever stock it might be, you can't see any prints below that price. So people start piling up on the offer, and you saw that happen, but they couldn't execute against the bid because no prints can go beyond that price. It could have gone back up in that 10 to 15 second waiting range, so it could have popped on us there. But once I see the fact that it wouldn't, lots of sell action here. We're in the right way with the news. We're in the right way with the momentum. It tried to get back up a couple of times on these halts. 41, like I said, would be a great target for a $5 winner, shaving another 10% off. Well, this all started at 50 even, so we can get down to 40. I mean, a big-time haircut being made on Herbalife there. Hey, thanks, Kevin, one of our traders from the floor there in the chat. Thanks for that. But, the thanks to me goes to the community here, guys. I talked about paying forward. We didn't even see Herbalife till Arun saw you guys mention it on the chat there. Brendan got the news to us quick. We're able to execute the trade. It's a great one here on Herbalife. I'm happy that we got it, but a shout out and a thanks to you guys. Let's grow this community and we can do more of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Christopher Holcomb, I'm going to give you a name. Shout out to you, man. This is a great trade that you gave us, and we're paying attention to the chat. We can't always catch everything. Sometimes, you know what, when you guys are members, it stands out. That's kind of why I saw it. I was like, oh, HLF is halted. Like, damn, I'm going to get in there. I like the trade. I like the setup. And now we're in the money with you guys. Hopefully you guys jumped in as well. What do you got, Brendan?
Stick with that, I think, guys. That's a pretty negative story, and I think it's only the beginning for Herbalife. So, yeah, that's crazy. Criminal charges. Here's another one from the solar group, SPWR. I mentioned Canadian Solar earlier. This one also in the solar group, SPWR. To the downside, though, there's actually a couple of upgrades on this one today. You can see earnings yesterday. Not so good, but upgrades on this one today, guys.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys because JE is bouncing. And like I said, I've been taking almost all of it off. I did have an order for the rest of it, and I was down to just under 10% of my position, thinking it would get a breakdown to 40 cents. To be perfectly honest, I'm just going to go break even. So if it breaks, not really break even, because this was at 49, my last entry. If it breaks 50, I'll just take it off. If it rolls over again, I'm going to jump into some more shares in front of that $50 area, guys. So that's going to be the plan for me on JE. It's been, ultimately, Herbalife has a shot to be my best stock of the day, but then, Abbott Labs was fantastic. And, JE, a stock like this, even though it's a penny stock, can be better than some of these other big flyers, depending on how you want to trade it. I certainly could have done even better if I had more attention paid to it. Sometimes doing a style like this, it might be the only thing you trade, and that's not a bad idea. Workday's still in the money, but I've given a break-even stop like I told you guys. And it's a similar story over here for me in JE because Herbalife is going to be the story, I think, for the rest of the show, possibly.
Yeah, what I've gone ahead and done, I like the sell-side action. So sometimes when you start to see sell-side buying on one direction, especially when it halts, it looks like this, right? And you can actually see the offers coming in on the pressure on the sell side on open orders. So you're seeing a lot of action here on the sell side. So what I've gone ahead and done, I've gone ahead and sent an order. We have an on open order that we can send directly to CCG or NYSE to get out on the opening print when it comes back from the halt. One of the great things here at DTW, direct access, right? So I'm going ahead and send an order directly to them. So I want to be included in the opening print, whatever the price it opens at. Given the sell side pressure, I'm going to say to the sell side, what happens on the open sometimes? It prints way down and then it bounces right back with the actual trading. So I'm trying to capitalize on that by taking the print on some of the shares, not all of them, on some of the shares there, so I can actually kind of catch the flush in one direction, you could say. But in the meantime, I am still working NTNX. Remember, 2660 is still the trailing stop on NTNX, and this thing is still $1.45 in the money. We haven't taken any profit just yet, so we are just running a trail on this one, and this thing is still going, so we're just going to let it go, ride this one out.
Yeah, I see you guys. There's other things, of course, happening in the market. My eyes are glued for what could be an open in about a minute or so, or maybe less than that, of course, on Herbalife. Where is it on my board? I just want to get back to Kodak because I just saw someone talking about this name. And again, it seems like And I look at the time of day here. This is how many times have we seen like a 10:30 or 11:30 almost on the dot or somewhere around that range, a squeeze to the upside on Kodak. I usually look to fade these guys, so I'm probably going to jump in at some point and have a deeper dive into Kodak. But short squeezes galore on that name. Brennan, what do you got?
Yeah, I was just seeing somebody was mentioning Alibaba there in the chat. No significant news on Alibaba today. A nice look, though, nicely positive after the down day yesterday. So holding this kind of 288 area as far as resistance is concerned, 287, 286 to the downside for Alibaba, but yeah, looks good to me. Decent volume behind Baba today as well. A bit of a breakdown in the overall market here, guys. Arun, what do we need to look at here as far as the futures are concerned?
Yeah, we should step into the futures. Sometimes, a lot happens in the stock market. You forget about the futures. We are still, let me just pull this chart out to the 30-minute chart just so you guys can get a better understanding. Oh, Herbalife is open. What was the fill? We got exit. What was the price? I'll figure out the price for you guys after. Let me just do the futures here. We are entering that 34.80, 34.60 is still the stop there. So I am actively looking at this for a see if we can catch a bid here around 34.80 and then turn around towards 3,500. Remember, 3,500 to 3,510 is going to be the resistance level. 34.80 down towards 34.60 is going to be the support level while I figure out what to do with Herbalife.
Look, to be perfectly honest, it bounced off of 43.50, that little bottom. I just jumped into some more shares to the short side, to be honest with you. My average price is going to be like 45.50. Like I said, you can give it to like 48 the first time, and if it even makes any attempt to get to 50 on me today, I will be taking another shot to the short. I can promise you that. Brennan, what do you got for us?
Talking about Alibaba there, I was just noticing this Bilibili, also with some Chinese ties as well, doing quite nicely today, up 8%. So good look for them. Held 48 there after earnings, I think it was this morning, possibly aftermarket yesterday, but held 48 here for BILI, back towards 49 now, which is big time levels up here on the daily time frame for BILI as well, guys.
All right, so that Herbalife position, guys, when I remember I said I was going to try to join that opening print there with that direct order to NYSE. Yeah, they gave me 43.40 on the first half of that position. This is exactly why I get out. If I see enough pressure in one direction and I'm holding in that direction as well, what I'll do is I'll offset the opening print by getting involved with that open. So what I've gone ahead and done, sent half my shares directly to NYSE to give me that opening print. They gave me $1.60 on that open, and of course that 45 even. The fact that we got back above 45 on Herbalife makes me a little concerned about how much sell-side pressure there is left. Of course, the news is ridiculous to the downside. It's ridiculously negative. But I still want to get out of the way if we come back above 45. So I've got 43.40 on the first half and 44.92 on the second half. You'll see that here once I switch over to the chart here. You'll see I got that print right there off the open, and of course that exit on the second half. So I'm away from Herbalife. It's done the move. I don't like to scalp too much, but that was one of those trades where I just had to because the access and the fact that we had that kind of access and the news was there. So I'm in, I'm out, I'm walking away, and back I go to NTNX.
I might die on a sword in this one, guys. It's not to roll the profit from the other trades today, like like your JE, whatever it might be. But we did get a super chat, and I want to acknowledge here to make sure I get it right. We did have Rocket Duck, but also Noah. Herbalife. This is all about you guys in the community, and Brennan getting us the news as well. And I don't necessarily see anything on Rhythm Pharmaceuticals other than a downgrade by Zacks. Is that even right? So, I mean, ultimately, it's getting a bump to the upside. So I'm going to stay away from it because I feel like I don't know something on our YTM here. So if I knew what was going on a bit better in Rhythm, maybe I would have an opinion on it in terms of a rollover trade. But if it really is only a downgrade, let's see what's going on here and why it's up. 48 is my first level on Herbalife. It's going to test up to that price. I'm going to take another shot, jumping into some more shares to the short. Like I said, 48 is the first level. If it gets to 50, I'm really going to dig into this one. But look, it's 10:40. It is time for Sector Watch. We do need to get to Brennan at the big screen, guys.
Hi guys, yeah, we'll have a look at the S&P 500 here. We'll see things basically break even. So we went up to about 0.5%, 0.6%, but right back to just 0.14% now for the S&P 500. Bit of a mixed board here. Let's figure out what's going on. Healthcare stocks, first off, standing out as weak, providing most of the weakness, in fact, for the overall market. HOLX, 2.4%, BDX there, 1.7% to the downside. There are a few names here kind of offsetting, but overall, this sector definitely leading to the downside. 2 days in a row row for the banks as well down here in negative territory. The insurance companies doing the worst so far. Diversified financials are negative. Some of the individual banks, though, trying to get back into positive territory, offsetting some of that. Way over in the corner, a little real estate group there in negative territory. Also consumer staples to the downside today. This group has been pretty quiet all week long, but a bit of a downside move today. CPB leading 2%, HRL there 1.7%. Energy stocks on a bounce back in oil prices today to the upside. I want to talk about tech shares, though. All of the strength coming from this group today, the tech sector coming up with most of the market advance today. ACAM there, Payce, CTXS, all 2+%. There's HPQ, 6.8%. Travel names down here in the consumer discretionary group also helping. So we've seen, as a result of some positive vaccine news, these names coming back to life again this week. MGM, Win, CCL, NCLH, RCL, and LVS, all of them on the watch list this morning, guys. Sign up for the watch list if you haven't already. HRB down 2% here. eBay, Dollar Tree, and GPS. DLTR, big one from yesterday. Industrials are a bit mixed here. FedEx, UAL, and AAL, some of the airlines as well in positive territory, but there is some negativity here also. So overall, when that happens, we are basically flat, 0.17% to the upside, guys. Back to you.
All right, guys. NTNX is now just pushing to new highs as well. Remember, we're long here just in front of 26. For me, if this trade eventually gets me out, I wouldn't flip to a short, so I'm just going to manage this trade. Once a trade like this gets going, we're just going to manage it out. I think the first exit is going to be if we get back underneath 27.50, of course, I am going to get out the first half. And if we break 26.60, that's going to be the full exit there. So for now, we're just going to ride this out. It is going slowly, but it is going, so we're just going to wait this one out. And of course, PLAN. It is still going, but you know what? I'm no longer interested in PLN. It's taking too long through this area, which makes me a little concerned of this area. So even if it pushes, I don't know if it comes back again. Would I want it? No. I'm going to walk away from this. I'm going to let it do what it needs to do, and then maybe on Monday it might provide ability to actually step into a trade. And everybody that jumped in Herbalife made some money there. Thank you guys. Thank you guys to the people that have been posting it, and everybody just hit the likes for the people that are in the community itself. Just putting it in there, just put those stocks in there. We're not always going to get to all of them. Some of them don't have volume, some of them don't move. But you know what? If this halts and we see it there, especially if you're a member, if we see it there, we're definitely going to be looking at it and be like, okay, well, does the chart look good? Yeah, if it looks good, we're going to jump in. We're going to say something about it. So shout out to the community. Throw some likes down there for the community itself.
Countdown. I just saw in the chat there. Oh, that was the countdown. We got to 1,000. Okay, first of all, we don't always hear the music that goes with the graphics, so I feel like that's the first time I've heard the music from Valeria Breakdancing. I took a second shot and make a buck first time through on Herbalife. It breaks 48. I am going to find another place to get back into this one because it's not really running. But before I do that, I see you guys talking about Kodak here. And yes, I'm seeing the volume spike. Perspective matters. So let's look at a 15 minutes so you can see the last at least almost couple of weeks here as to where this is actually bouncing through. Yeah, a bit of a level is going to be approaching at that 650. I think there's going to be some trouble getting through that price. So just keep that in mind. This is a nice move to the upside. Yeah, you're going to see almost a 10% bomb to top here if you look at that 550 and the top end of this range. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a move. I've seen a couple of squeezes like this get sold off on Kodak a couple of times. So, I mean, it's not enough for me to be remotely bullish in the name here, guys. I would be looking for a rollover at some point. Getting through 650 would be a little bit more significant.
Yeah, Brendan mentioned in the chat there for us, our internal chat there, that Roku is just continuing its new highs. And all I can really do is look at this chart and just shake my fist at it. Because it went so fast through that 163 that there was no chance in entering this. This is one of those on-fire stocks. Guys, if you guys are trading momentum, this is probably a gold mine for you guys. I don't trade momentum like that. I like setups. So for me, my entry has passed. I missed it. But everyone trading momentum, there's a hot stock for you. And of course, not NVIDIA. There was another one I was looking at. Yeah, I think it was NVIDIA. But Roku, absolutely on fire. And back to the futures, guys. I just want to just switch over to the futures here while I pull up the chart. It is starting to hesitate around that 34.85. I'm still looking for a little bit better of a price around 34.80. Nothing just yet. I do see some overhead pressure coming down into that area, so I won't be stepping into the long, but I am looking at this area for a potential buy there around the futures on 34.80 with 34.60 as a stop. That stop's been in play for a while now for me. So this is a nice area to work with. Of course, 35.10 is above us. The reason why this is going to be a problem, that 3,500 even level. We hesitated once, we got above it, we backed away, and then we found some more selling just in front of it. So of course, we're backing down one more time. So 35.10 on the top end, 34.60 on the bottom, 34.80 is going to be your buy zone, or my buy zone. Right now, there's some sell side pressure, so I'm just going to wait a little bit more. And in the meantime, we are just going to ride this NTNX through this 28, hopefully. Right now, the trailing stop is going to sit just underneath 27.50. That gives us about $1.75 at the moment. So if it comes back down, I'll just dump half. Remember, I mentioned 27.50 is going to be the first exit. 26.60 is going to be the second half. How's your Herbalife position there going on?
I'm back in. I talked about giving to that 48, look for a rollover if it tries 50. It didn't quite even get to like 49, but I did jump back in at like 48.60, sort of a muted move. But I'm going to show you guys another change here because I do still have some of that workday position to the short side here at 243.89, guys. And I did move a stop up to 244. Like I said, sleepy action. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's lock in that dollar and a half. And if it breaks 240.250 back up, I'm just going to let this one go. It is sort of getting to that 11 o'clock hour, and there's sort of more exciting names to watch. Also, with just not having the extended move that I was anticipating, showing a little more strength, and maybe looking like he doesn't want to fill in that gap. So I'm going to lock in that profit, move my stop down one more time in this name, workday. It feels like it's the right call at this time of day. GE does the rollover without me, so I didn't get any more shares in front of that 50, so still have just that small position left at 49. It's either going to have to hold 50, give me a re-entry, or maybe give a breakdown into 41, 42. Otherwise, you'll probably just see me hang on to this one. No reason to cover here. Small amount left on JE, sorry.
Right. So what can I say about my trading today? NTNX, that's all I can say. I am just waiting on this. Nothing else is popping off on my radar, so I'm just going to finish up this fruit salad here. A little bit of pineapple as NTNX takes 28. That is now a $2 winner. We're just going to ride this one. Ride this train until it stops. So until it decides to turn around, just let this one go. So 27.50 is still the trailing stop here. I'm going to move the full trailing stop in front of 27.50 because if it breaks 28, which it just did, and backs down to 27.50, potentially into that 27.40. So I might give a little bit of flexibility in front of that 27.50. So if it comes back through that 27.40, I'm going to fully get out of that position. For me, that's more than enough on the trailing stop there. I'll lock in $1.40 in terms of profit. I see enough action here to be worth it. And what do we got, Brendan? Brendan at Money Talks on this big screen.
Hey guys, currency time. We'll have a look at foreign exchange markets today. Really only one story to talk about in FX world today, and that is the Japanese yen, now down 1.2%. It was, however, about 2% higher early on this morning after the resignation of Shinzo Abe, longest-serving prime minister over in Japan. So a very, very volatile day for the yen on that news of the resignation. Got as high as 106.95. We're back down to 105.20. So huge move for the Japanese yen today, 1.2% on that resignation. Swiss franc also in negative territory. Continue down the list here. Big moves to the upside on some U.S. dollar weakness as well for Australia. The Australian dollar back to 73.5. New Zealand 67.3, up 1.4%. Canadian dollar, where is it at the top here? 0.2% to the upside, back above 76, and 119 for the euro. You can see cryptos down here in positive territory as well. We had Ethereum leading to the downside early on in the week. We're now leading to the upside 3% for Ethereum. As I mentioned, Bitcoin as well, up about 1% on the day. Guys, back over to you.
Yeah, I saw a question there in the chat. People asking what I think about next week for something like GE. I try not to get too speculative on penny stocks in terms of like long-term plays. I like intraday trading them. That's going to be where my strengths lie. The first thing you got to keep in mind with here is when you see these patterns form where every time there's a parabolic move up, you see successive days selling. Just usually that's because it doesn't have a gigantic retracement that first day. In this case, we are actually, and I apologize for all these executions. Obviously, I was heavily active in it today. In this case, if it does drop to that 40 cent or below that mark, it'll be close to that full retracement. So if you're sitting there holding the bag, you got to ask yourself if you liked the company before and they had positive earnings, and then it is what it is. Maybe you want to hold it through that bottom. That's not what I do. I day trade these ultimately. I just feel like maybe it can have a secondary push to the upside. You've seen that happen in the past. But really, it's going to be very, very muted each time it does happen. Really, it's about shorting it on the way back in, I think, where the real profit is. I did dig into some more shares, another test the upside. Yeah, Herbalife wants to try that 50, so I get some more. 48, 68 is going to be my price right now. Only those positions on JE, Herbalife, and the last little bit of workday that I have to that south side action. I do want to still continue to monitor Kodak, of course. We talked about that little test of the upside. Much more interesting if it gets through 650. At this point, has been unable to do so, guys.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick recap of all the trades that I've taken today. So PLAN, guys, remember I like that 62.50 break, and then I stepped in, and then it started messing around here, and I thought it was extending that zone. So one of the things I do is when we break a level or work through an area, we need to maintain that push. So what I did, I didn't like what was happening. So that push that I initially got in on, I didn't think it was there anymore. So I walked away from that. That was a small hit there. So that was like about 10 cents hit there. So I walked away from that one there. And workday, you guys saw this one, workday. I thought it was a long on the 46 break, and then it kind of messed around. So I got out, made a little bit of tiny, like 10 cents on workday when it was going crazy. That's not a whole lot. That's just scratching the trade. And then tried it again because they settled above it, I thought, and then took that hit there when it dropped down. So you know what? That confirms that sell side area. So I jumped in on the short side, cashed out just in front of, just underneath 240, and of course the rest of it around 243.50. So $1 there, 450 there. And we walked away from this because I thought it might go sideways inside the range. And I'll get back to it after Brendan. No? Okay, I'll continue on then.
I heard it as well. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so I'll just go on. NTNX is the only position that I've got here. It is $2.13. This, guys, I'm going to go ahead and press this animation because this takes forever, apparently. So this one here is going to be what? 27.50 is a trailing stop. This is trading 28.20. That, my friends, right there, that 26 long. Remember, I got short initially and then scratched it when it kind of moved sharply back above. Be aware of those kind of trades where you think it's going in one direction, the set's up in one direction, and then changes on you because the setup there is absolute gold.
I got to interrupt here just because I want to show a bit of a roll that's looking like it's going to happen or trying to happen in Herbalife. So you're going to have a lot of people digging into short like this, guys. So one of the things you got to consider is I wouldn't go with a 50 stop. Ultimately, I think if you're taking this short type of trade, if people are willing to buy it above the high of day, I feel like it's only short squeezes. No one actually is probably want to own it above that, guys. So that's going to be the look I have on it. You already seen about Herbalife, but at some point that's a mega pew. I love that. Do we need a mega pew? Is that what you guys want to see? I feel like I'm going to miss this when Sean comes back. The pew 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 action from Rune. Nice.
You're getting it wrong, Sean. You're getting it wrong, Neil. We don't go pew pew pew. We shoot once. It's a 100% accuracy shot. We do not miss. There's no multiple shots there. No, this is what this is. NTNX 26. One shot, it goes. That's what we want to see. That's the kind of trade. That is what Pew stands for.
I just got owned by Arun over there, but look, I have to ask. Obviously, you gave that update, Valeria, about where we were in the subs. You've seen us hit on the likes. Where do we stand now? Obviously, I think it's been a fun show, but how are things going over there?
Hey Neil, I'm glad you asked. So we've got 187 new subscribers today, and we're just 800 away from 75,000 of subscribers. And also we got 1K likes. Do you think we can get more?
Well, do I think? Of course, I think we can get more. As long as we don't harp on watermelon, I think we'll get all the love in the world. I know you guys are all about it, especially with this Pew. I almost said it twice. Okay, so I caught myself. It was Pew. It's one time. You're like an assassin ninja, whatever you want to call it. Arun, of course. So, look, obviously the market is not stopping, guys. We do need to get to some other names here. I do want to jump quickly over to Gap. GPS testing the low end of the range, this little bottom at 17. We did mention not necessarily, loving the breakdown because of some chop to 1680, but if it does break 1680 or so, that would get a little more interesting to me on Gap. You are seeing a bit of choppy action in that dollar range above, but a 1680 break in the afternoon, I can get on board with that and maybe take that to the south side trade. 17, maybe not as clean, but like I said, and I think Arun was liking this one as well. Got to break down at least like 25, 30 cents below that 17 mark, and you can see how much room on the week it could possibly give back, flushing on a Friday afternoon. You never know if it's going to happen, but that's the only trade I really wanted to dig into on a gap, and I see it coming into fruition possibly in the next hour or so.
All right, so what I'm doing with NTNX here, there seems to be some action in front of 28 or around 28. I don't like that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking some profit. The rest of it's still going to be trailed down through 27.50, but I'm going to try to get as close as possible with 28 so I can actually cash out. I know I'm going to give up about 50 cents. If this turns, that's fine, but I want to try to get as close as possible on the first half in front of 28. Of course, if I don't get that fill, I'll just take the full trailing stop there. That's just, honestly, that's just a read that I'm looking at in terms of volume and action around this 28 even level. So I'm just walking away from that one there. So you guys saw my trades, NTNX, Workday, and Plan. Those were 3 of my trades. And of course, RCL, guys, I'll just flip over to RCL real quick there. You saw that trade as well. I did this one here, just past this 68.50, and we got out in front of 69, or just past 69 after it started hesitating. This is a 30-minute chart. I'm just going to flip over to the five-minute chart there. You know what? This is what trading's all about. What do you got, Brendan?
Another one here, guys. X1. We mentioned this right out of the gate this morning. Big pop on this one right at the open. Actually halted briefly. We've been grinding ever since, back to 12 here for X1. This is in the 3D printing group. So positive news for them this morning, sending this one to 52-week highs. Also wanted to mention this HLF. Yeah, we're basically right back up to where this all began early on this morning. No update as far as the actual news story is concerned. I mean, it's pretty hard to explain. A little bit of a squeeze happening, possibly, guys, on HLF.
So I'm going to hit this because you guys want it. So there it is.
Neil got some moves.
Apparently, look at the little nimble there. Obviously, I can't move like that. Let's be realistic about that. It's not. It's never gonna happen live. So we'll give it to you sort of virtually, or whatever you want to call that look. I do want to get back at least a little bit over to DraftKings. You know, the tricky thing about bottom picking is, you know, you can have a target area that you want, and there's always something very particular I want to see. Either a really parabolic sort of extended move into that 36.50 that I was talking about, and then bouncing directly off it, or at least a consolidation above that range. So it does give a little of a stronger dip, breaks 37, and then shoots down to 36.70. Not deep enough to sort of trigger my interest to get into that long. And yes, it's going to bounce off it. So if I just throw an order 20 cents above, ride the 50-cent winner, it's going to seem like a good risk reward. Just not the way that I would be jumping into that trade. You know, it didn't quite go deep enough for me to get into that DraftKings bounce, guys. So it's looking like there's some support down there. Just nothing I could dig my teeth into, unfortunately. I do want to jump back over to XPeng. On the other hand, there is, you know, we bounced off of 22.50, coming right back up, and is finding a small amount of support there, I guess I should say, but not really extending this move. So it's kind of the second day in a row showing a little bit of weakness, not a lot of buyers stepping up and pushing it. What for a couple of days in a row now, it tried to be a bit of a bottom at 22.50, making me feel like if this thing takes out the bottom, I'm going to look in to see how expensive it is for me to get some shorts. I'm not sure I got them yet, but I'm probably going to go ahead and pay for that, because if it breaks 22.20, I think I'm going to have to sell this one, guys, and see how far it does want to go down. I will go back over to Workday, which is going to turn out to be quite a nice story here. It is coming back to test that 240, so I keep moving my stop down. We're still short at 243.89. We had mixed results on our first short, second one looking pretty good here. I still want to see if we can't get a break of that 40 down into that 237.70 mark, get that like $5 or $6 winner that I've kind of been hunting for all morning long. Maybe it does come in. It doesn't mean that my trading in and around that chop was good. I mean, your direction can be good, your call can be good, your execution can be off. So it'll be a winner here for us no matter what on Workday. Could have always been better. Let's see. We just got the 240 break now. The idea was a winner. Let's see if we can actually get that $5 or $6 winner on there. I don't know if you still have it there, Arun, but I'll be all out if we crack down to like 238 or so and be very, very happy with the result of this.
Oh, yeah, I walked away from this trade. As soon as the first target, remember, just underneath 240, I got in front of 239.50. And then as soon as it came back, I'm like, I don't want to play inside this range. So I walked away with $1 on the second half, 450 on the first half. Hey, you know what? NTNX, guys, I've cashed out. They came back, gave me that exit there on the first half. The remaining half is still being trailed at 27.50. And of course, I just want to just point out HLF, the way I traded it, it's slightly different the way that Neil traded. He's actually trying to trade it. Me, I kind of jumped in with the news there, got in, and then as soon as they gave me the open after the halt, remember with DTW, direct access, I just sent the order. If you guys have that kind of access, we did this whole thing yesterday on DTW and the kind of access they give us. So what I went ahead and done was sent the order directly into the actual imbalance off the halt open. So what they gave me, 43.40 was the exit that they gave me on the first half there. Hey, a quick $1.60 and then a little bit here, pretty much flat on the second half, but $1.60 on the first half just through order access. That's all it was. It was just access and ability to send that order. So I went ahead and did it. Why not, right? Why not? Why let it trade out when I can just do something like that? So, hey, when this kind of momentum happens, I kind of tend to do that because you know me, I like to kind of position up my trades. So if I'm going to step into a momentum off a halt, that's definitely how I'm going to be playing it. So a quick $1.60 there. And in the meantime, while we're waiting on all these trades to go through, Valeria's got an update with Euro.
Hey guys, welcome to the European update. Europe is in a negative territory today, though Brussels is up 0.09% and Spain is up 0.39%. Russia is down 1% and Britain is down 0.36%. Rolls-Royce fell more than 2% today as it announced it would sell assets in an attempt to raise £2 billion. That's all with Europe, and I'll keep you updated. Back to traders.
All right, I see a lot of talk. Oh, we got to 1K early for likes. Guys, the reason I want these likes, I personally want these likes. The reason why, because I want to say that when Sean comes back on Monday, he's going to be like, Arun, man, what did you do? That's what I did. I want to be able to kind of brag a little bit that, you know what, Sean, we got a ton of likes while I was here on Friday. Let's see if you can do the same. So hit us with the likes. I know there's a lot of people watching. There's only 1,000 likes. I want to see more, as many likes as possible. Subscribe, like, whatever you want. Spread the news that we are trading here, and you guys are just going to join us and help us become better as well, because you guys are spitting stocks that we're just checking, and Neil and Brendan can give us the information. And you know what? HLF paid off for $1.60 in the money for me, so I want to see more of that. As many people as we can get to join. So what I would like to do is just get as many people, grow this community a lot more. And in the meantime, NTNX, that's all I've got going. I'm just going to stay in my hoodie, eat my fruit, and kind of just work NTNX. Something I do want to do is quickly with the futures update here. Oh, there you go. Brendan spits that money all the time. Every time he talks, there's money that always comes out because he's got that news, and that helps us tremendously. That helps you guys tremendously. Shout out to Brendan. Give him some likes as well. So, what's that?
Likes.
1.2. We're at 1,200. Come on, guys. I want to see a lot more likes, a lot more. Everyone that's watching, just hit that like button. I want to see as much. Remember why I want to do this? I want to be able to say this to Sean. Hey, Sean, this is what happened. Back to the futures here. 34.85 is where we're trading. 34.80 is where we're approaching. That's the area that I want to play with. 34.80 going down to 34.60. Problem is, I'm seeing enough sell side pressure to make me wait this one out. I'm not going to step into this. There's more than enough action on the sell side. So we're just going to keep being patient with this. Here's the problem with that.
2,000.
When it comes down like this and they decide to catch a bid and all the sellers move, if this is a systematic selling and it moves out of the way, if they go through, this could just go push right through 35.10. That's a possibility if we can't really keep pushing. But again, I'm being patient. And while I'm being patient, we're going to go to Brendan. What do you got, Brendan?
Speaking of the overall market, guys, we haven't really touched on either Tesla or Apple today, both obviously splitting as of Monday. So the splits taking place Monday morning. Worth maybe mentioning, guys, you know, as far as the price action is concerned on both Apple and Tesla today, you know, what are your thoughts as far as going into Monday, what we can expect?
I think ultimately, you do have the possibility that there's going to be that ramp. You know, obviously it doesn't really matter when you buy it, I think, from a fundamental standpoint, but you are likely to see some people waiting anyways for that Monday price action. I think you'll look at the daily chart to forget about that. It's been sideways for 2 days now on Apple, and that's kind of why I feel like if we hold this 500, you come in next week, and then maybe people are waiting for that to get in. That's why you're not going to see me trade Apple when it's not doing anything, and that's going to be the case. As far as Tesla goes, it's a little bit I would say it's a little bit different of a beast simply because, Tesla has, I don't really know what to say, like the cult following. So there's almost always a little bit extra volatility. It is selling off as well and managing to hold its entirety of the pre-market range. So you are seeing what I like to call sideways action. I don't think there's going to be volatility in the afternoon. I think next week is probably going to be fireworks on both of those names, and that's why I'm going to probably not make a single trade in either one of those until the first.
Shout out to Alex Weber, Pew, my friend.
Oh boy.
We are still riding this NTNX. This is definitely the Pew for the day. So 26 break, we are riding this. We took some out, $2 there, just in front of 28. This is still pushing its highs. We're just gonna let this one go. Remember, 27.50 is still the trailing stop. Appreciate the likes, guys. Yes, Tammy in the chat mentioned that I am patient for the stocks, but I am not patient for the likes. Absolutely not. Not when I have something to prove to Sean there. Be like, Sean, this is what's up. Let's see what you can do. So he's going to be back on Monday, and I'm just going to be grabbing as many likes as possible. 27.50 on NTNX, guys, as much as possible here. I'm going to cash out. I'm not sure what this area is doing right now. 28. It seems to be really hesitating. This is the 5-minute chart. 27.50 still the trail. I've cashed them out. We'll just let this area work itself out. Of course, my stock, my nemesis for the day, and I just shake my hand, shake my fist at you. Roku. Next time, I got to figure out a way to play this one right off the open, because that would have been a stellar winner, that $13 run on Roku. And of course, PLAN, hesitating. This is exactly what I was concerned about. I'm glad I walked that away. Remember, when you guys have a plan, work that plan. So if on plan, I work my plan, and look what happened with the plan. So this is what I'm concerned about when I start reading levels, right? Something just to keep an eye on here. If you're working an area and it starts to hesitate, the area might be moving. It's never a set level. It could move. So I'm concerned about that. Neil, do you agree with that, that sometimes the levels do move around even though they look like they've broken?
Yes, 1,000%. I think this is one of those things when you talk about like reading charts. I think this might have got mentioned in our Market Wisdom channel, one of our videos, where you can have an idea of a setup and price action, and this is the key level, and then over hours, days, whatever it might be, it just sort of slides a little bit. Then that support, it just moves up or whatever it might be, and you've got to adjust a little bit. And it's sort of as I say that, it's going to be like a shameless time to plug it. I forget. Now look. There we go. And the only reason I bring it up is because, come on, is that like, it's like a void in that picture. Like
it's that black hole.
It's like, yeah, it's a black hole. I don't know what's going on there, but a broad topic. We do this on our Market Wisdom channel. We're dropping a video today, and it's really about how to make more money. It seems like it's such an obvious thing every trader is trying to, but there's lots of ways to go about it, whether it's scaling, efficiency of your trades, losing less. This is what we're talking about in the video, so check that one out. Going on our Market Wisdom page. If you like it, let us know. If you want us to cover other topics, of course, drop those suggestions. But you guys know what time it is. It is Friday. It is 11:11. We are ready for our guest trader of the day. Let's go to Brendan for the introductions.
Hey guys, yeah, it is Friday, just after 11 o'clock Eastern. That means guest trader of the day time, sponsored by Lewis Daniels Watches. Everyone coming on July, August, September, even into October, getting a Lewis Daniels watch from the UK. Thanks to Lewis Daniels Watches for sponsoring this segment. We have a return guest trader today. Michael Simpson Jr. joining us once again on the show. It's been a pretty interesting day. I love the background again, Mr. Simpson. It's been a little while since we had you on the show. Good to see you once again.
Good to see you too. What background? I'm in space.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I love your assumed space background, I guess I should say. How has your morning been? What have you been looking at?
For me, it's all about Gaxi. No one's discussing Gaxi. I don't think anyone even knows what Gaxi is. It's worth all of, what, almost a nickel?
Enlighten us. Enlighten us then.
Well, let me fill you in on Gaxi and why I think it's an important stock. First of all, big shout outs to Elizabeth Miller, Daryl, 365, Bill Fontaine, STFU, or St. Fu as I like to call him. Just the whole chat room, Marlon, Max, Lori, everybody in the chats. We've lost a lot of money together. I love you guys. We've also made a lot of money together. And what I'll say is Box L has been killing people in the chat. You guys got to move away from that, especially Elizabeth. Now, Gaxi, this is a company that took advantage It's a weird company because if you look at it, they've been around a long time. They used to be worth a lot more, and I'm talking years and years ago. But now they're finding their way back. Right before COVID, they were worth a couple bucks. Right now, they're under a nickel. I've been able to pull about 30K out of them in profits because they just, if you take a look at them, the volume is ridiculous on this stock, and it is just so up and down. It's a day trader's dream, quite frankly. So many lows and highs, and if you go in there and just take a look at their products, what you'll find out is it's not a pump and dump. They're a great company, and what they've got they just partnered up with the Hillsborough County Public School System, so they're going to be, and what they're doing right now is they're creating those plastic kind of containers around the children's desks. So they're basically throwing everyone's kids in hamster balls, which is good during COVID. And they've got this whole deal that they just got with the entire Hillsborough County Public School System to provide that protective gear. And they got quite a few different things in the work. And what you'll notice if you go ahead and pull out to their I want to say, look, maybe 4 or 5 months back, it's very consistently rising. And I honestly see this thing, doubling, if not tripling over the next year. So I like it a lot.
I gotta ask you a question, Michael, because that doesn't look like, and of course I should say it's off the front because Lewis Daniels, our sponsors all of our guest segments, and of course our guests get Lewis Daniels watch. I got mine on right here. You can see. So look forward to that. Of course, we had such success with it. We are running that to the end of, I believe, next month as well. I want to quickly jump in here because you keep saying Gaxi. For those of you, I might have put it in the chat as well. This is trades in the OTC market, the over-the-counter. So if some people are wondering why can't I look at it, I'm trying to find it. It does trade in the OTC. It also is a penny stock. When you talk about volume, it's on like about 126 million shares, and halfway through the day today, as you mentioned, Michael. So it's actually done more than this in the past. It's actually a heavily traded name on the OTCX. I will say this, if you're trading in the pink sheet very actively, you do have to watch out for liquidity. Make sure you're able to do so in the first place. It's not the same rule set as on the NASDAQ or the New York when it comes to filling. They're not traditional gateways. So there is a lot to understand about trading in the OTC. When it comes to price action, as you mentioned, yes, it was basing out at pennies and has made a bit of a move up to like 6 cents, and this was trading. If you go back to the beginning of the year, it was trading 3 or 4 times where it is right now. But I just want to make sure everyone understands, we don't usually always trade in the OTC markets, and a lot of people might be unfamiliar with it. Maybe it's something we should even be doing on our Market Wisdom page, a topic about the OTC and the pink sheets.
I don't recommend it at all. I'm just saying what I've been doing and where I'm making money. But yeah, I don't recommend, this isn't something I'm recommending. I'm just answering the question of what have I been looking at today.
What is that back? Okay, first of all, I got to know, because there's like people moving on in that background you got going on there. It's like some kind of solar system that I've never seen before, and I'm a bit of a nerd. I keep thinking to myself, this should be like some kind of a game that I should recognize, or like a movie. What's the deal? What's going on there? And is there a story beside it other than like the obvious puns that we can work with for Galaxy Next generation here? Like, is it just a play on that?
No, this is actually this is my personal spaceship. I designed it. I built it. I designed this actually in Cinema 4D. For all of my nerds out there who know anything about visual effects or 3D animation, I just wanted to go to space. As you guys know, I'm also a Twitch streamer, so oftentimes my fans will ask me, let's do something crazy, let's go somewhere, blah, 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 and I'll create something just for them. This is one of the places that I just kind of threw together. It's a galaxy I created called Beta 3. There's no science behind it. I just liked Beta 3. So that's what my chat calls it now. And I thought I'd bring you guys to Beta 3 with me today.
Awesome. One thing, just a quick update. I've gotten out of my NTNX position around that 28. I'm not liking this. But I got a very important question. This is absolutely paramount. I need an answer. From Beta 3, can you see the black hole that is Neil's mouth?
Oh, for the love of it.
Hilarious. Speaking of, though, Arun, I've got a post Trader TV chat room that I run on Instagram with a lot of the green names that you guys, a lot of the members here with the chat. And we've been betting all week how many hoodies you own. And right now the running consensus is that you own all of them.
Hoodies? Here's the thing, right? I don't actually wear this in. It's really hot outside. The reason I always wear hoodies is because Sean has decided to choose a desk that is right in front of the AC vent.
Yep.
So it is blowing cold air right in my face, and I'm always cold. I always come in here with a t-shirt. It's hot outside. I come in here, and I got to deal with the AC blowing right in my face. So I'm always trying to stay warm. Yes, you know, it's not looking all fancy like Sean looks when he's sitting here, but I am cold. So I always put on a hoodie. Sometimes I bring a hoodie. I take the Trader TV hoodies. For anyone that's wondering, these Trader TV hoodies are pretty warm. So I'm perfectly comfortable, and when I leave, I actually take this hoodie off and go back to my desk that I sit over there with my actual screen. So this hoodie is just temporary while I sit at Sean's desk because it is freezing. I don't know how this guy does it every single day, sitting here and giving you guys these hot stocks all the time.
You know how he sits in the cold? Because he's cold-blooded, and you guys know where that's from. Obviously, I'll drop that one for you. I just want to jump back into the market for a quick second. I haven't traded CSIQ yet, but of course they had earnings today. Another couple of volume spikes and another breakout here through 31. These are fresh highs on the for the stocks. There's no levels to really talk about. I just know some of you guys are alert to this name. I don't really have any plays on this. I was actually in the back, just sort of had it in my quote board and was hoping to see if it could fall back in, if I could make a bit of a scalp trade lunchtime on a pullback. That didn't happen, obviously, as you can see. So another breakout here in CSIQ. I just have Herbalife, which is flat for me on our second short. And I still have that GE. So I keep saying GE, I mean JE. That's that penny stock. I'm short at 49. It's rolling over again off of 50 in VWAP, so at some point it's got to either test down to 40 and give me the ultimate win, or it's going to have to break to the upside. And I'm not going to go long in JE. I tend to have a directional bias in plays like this. If I get the rollover, I was going to take the trade top off at 62 if it had the momentum. It just really didn't. So I've only been shorting it. I've had multiple shorts on. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I like to call it like 2 or 3 positions, but really I got in like 7 different times here, only to the short side. And there was one hit in there. And I'm not going to go long regardless if it breaks at 51. I would consider a 62 break maybe at the end of the day. I just feel like it's so unlikely. I'm not going to jump in. Obviously, last time we had you on was a bit a while ago there, Michael. Anything new in terms of maybe the types of names that you're looking at here? You've given us one, of course, but is there anything else that's sort of been on your radar that maybe you weren't doing before? Like, where's your overall progress been in the last little bit since we had you on?
I apologize. There's a solar flare outside. Yeah, so right now, basically, the growth in my account has been, this is something, as far as Neil is concerned, what I've learned from you is to, it's weird. The three of you you're all so different from one another, because what I've learned from Arun is to just be a statue, be as dead as possible and just wait. Like, Arun's level of patience is unbelievable. What I've learned from you, Neil, is to be aggressive in the trades that I have put together. If I put together an idea, we're good? All right. If I put together an idea, I just need to follow through with said idea and don't bail on it, and have my ins, have my outs, and most importantly, just stick to them. And I've learned that from you heavily. Sean, I've learned how to eat fruit. I have a balanced diet now of mostly fruit and water, thanks to Sean. But from you, I definitely have learned to just create my plans, have my ins, have my outs, and follow through. Thanks to you guys, and this is a note to all of you out there in the chat wondering, if this channel really does teach you. I crossed the 100K mark with this channel. I've also lost a good portion of that, and multiple times. I've gone up and down so many times, but it's because I'm not scared to follow my plans at this point. And I learned that from Neil. Create your plans and stick to them. You can't, but here's the thing though, make sure that you spend, and the reason Arun is so good, for those of you that are new in the chat, the reason Arun is so good is because he ran the simulators a long time before he actually jumped in with real money. He made sure he knew exactly what the heck he was doing. He understood the plans he was putting together. And that's the reason that you can sit here and watch Rune be so patient, because he has that plan and he follows through on it. And it's the same with all of these guys. They all have their own unique way of trading, and you're gonna learn a lot from watching them. But what's most important is that you're gonna pick and choose and take pieces from each of them. And once you figure out your own path and your own patterns and what works for you, that's when your account's really going to start to kind of explode, and in the good way.
Yeah, 100%. That's the big thing, though. Like, no two traders are the same. We can all look at the same setup, the same stocks, the same watch list, and have different approaches. But it really is all about sticking to your plan. I like to always phrase it as, you should, every single strategy or idea that you've vetted, that you've back tested, that you put into practice, that's made you money, that is a positive expectancy to you. You want to be putting as many of those on, if not all of them, if you can. And that's the idea of how to make money as a trader. And for those of you that haven't been watching all week, maybe you're new, you didn't hear Rune's story. What Michael's talking about was, when I first met Arun, he was willing to put a strategy into simulation for almost a full year. And then when he came live with it, I mean, he wasted no time. Like I literally said, is absolutely true. The first trade that he put on for that strategy after being in simulation for almost a full year was the biggest day on our entire floor that Sean and I owned for that month. And so this is what I'm sort of talking about with Arun. And here's the best part about it is, see the look that Arun has right now where he's all like, just sort of chilling and whatnot? That's exactly what he looked like. And I was like happy and celebrating, right? Because it was our floor. And Arun was just like, meh.
Hey, you know what?
Say pew though, because I think that's a new.
Yeah, can you guys give Neil some likes? Give Cowboy Jones some likes, man. Like, I love the fact that they're pumping my ego a little bit more. So why not just give me some likes too? I'm loving what I'm hearing right now. So yes, the thing with trading, I find, is that when you develop a plan, and I want to know your opinion on this, is when you come up with a plan and when you execute your plan, sometimes it becomes difficult. Because there are certain times during the market when the market's not cooperating and the plan doesn't seem like it's working out. In that situation, I want to know what everyone is deciding or thinking their approach should be. My approach was, there's a reason why I put so much work into building the plan, so I'm going to be patient. Sometimes the market's not going to cooperate. It's not always going to cooperate all the time. So I'm going to be a little patient. I'm not going to cut that plan, change that plan. I'm not going to be rigid either. I'm going to be open. I think the best example I can give a plan is on plan, on my screen here. What I did with plan, based on my plan, was exactly what was planned. So that 62.50 break, whatever, it hesitated. We've been working that for days now, and it kind of just went in there and kind of backed off. There's a lot of action. That's when levels move, and that's part of the plan, even though I have a rigid idea on what I want to do. And tell me if I'm wrong. Is that an approach that you take as well? Or is there a different approach that you have when you decide to execute a trade that you think that you want to be a part of?
It's interesting because from my perspective, as long as I base my wins on the week versus on the day. So there's and when I first started out, it wasn't like that. So I made the big mistake of chasing losses. So if I would lose, I would like really go in for the revenge on that stock. And what I learned was, over time, if I followed through on my plans, at the end of the week, I would typically end up green. So what it's really, 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 really important. And I think this is the reason that a lot of day traders fell, is because you have to have that patience, and you've got to have you've got to trust yourself, trust your instincts, and trust what you're setting up. So like you said, when you see something's not working out, my guess is you already, especially with someone like you probably already have a contingency plan. Now, my contingency plan is, I'm willing to lose X amount of dollars on this particular trade if I'm wrong. And then if it gets to that point, I get out. If it doesn't hit that point, I'll let it ride, and hopefully it course corrects. But if it gets to that point where I've said, you know what, this is my contingency. If it's a loss, it's a loss. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. At this point, I'm out. If it gets there, I'm out, and that's just it.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I think, Brennan has a quick something for us. What do you got there, bud?
I was just going to update this Herbalife story. A little bit more coming out on this Herbalife story. So the actual charges were announced at the same time as the resolution was announced. So this happened this morning in a court in Manhattan, and it looks like they've announced the actual prosecution and the charges along with the settlement. So Herbalife agreed to pay an undisclosed settlement to get rid of these charges, but both things happening at exactly the same time this morning. So that could be a little bit more of the reason why the stock has come all the way back up again. But just so everyone's on the same page here, again, this is going back to 2007 to 2016. There was corruption allegations. They've come to some sort of agreement. The agreement, again, not disclosed, but both the charges and the resolution announced at the same time, guys.
Yeah, I'm out.
Wow.
Right there.
Wow.
I'm not holding on to that short. If it tries to roll over again, you can get back in. There's no way I'm going to hang on to that one, guys. I do have to get back. There's things moving in the market right now, and I do see Win making its second push to the upside. So, I kind of sat here, and it's going to lead into my question for you there, Michael. But I kind of sat here thinking, yeah, the morning would be the best trade. 30 minutes or so, things would slow down. There wouldn't be much. And here we are with a secondary push through lunchtime on Win. And you mentioned, sort of getting together with some other people and talking after we're done at lunchtime. And has that led to maybe more activity for you, or do you look for some things in the afternoon? Maybe a little bit more, of course. I think we all know there's lots of chances to watch, good pre-action moves, opening trade breaks, all the kind of stuff that we all like here. But is there anything in the afternoon that you maybe jumped into through talking to other traders, through that little perseverance, even when we're done?
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the great things about this channel, outside of it's so funny because you see a lot. And let me answer these questions really quick. Chat, no, I'm not Lamar Odom. Riza, I hope that answers your question. Okay, there's a lot of stupid questions in there, and they're funny. I'll get to them later. But yeah, one of the things that I love about this channel is the amount of value that you get. For all of you gray names in there, go ahead and get a membership, honestly. There's like 3,000 of you watching right now. If you're not gonna get a membership, at least throw a like on there. Just go ahead and like it real quick. Help this channel out, because the amount of value that you get, it doesn't just end with the information and knowledge that they're sharing up here. It's infinite, because you guys have each other. We're all learning together, and as a result of that, you guys can all kind of get together and make your own little trading groups and trading rooms where you're discussing things. And in the after hours of Trader TV Live, what happens is myself and a couple of other members get together on Instagram. And it's not just the hours after, it's throughout the day. Sometimes into the night, we'll be charting. We're looking at charts, we're figuring out what we want to look at tomorrow. We discuss what we're going in with, how much we won, how much we lost, any news that comes out. We're always looking at stuff. We're looking at CCL, we're looking at Apple, we're looking at Tesla, looking at Zoom, Disney, everything. Wayfair. It's still one of my faves, because I can always count on that thing to bottom out and shoot right back up a good $10 or $20 almost daily. It's very strange. But the bottom line is there's an infinite amount of value on this channel, and I absolutely encourage you guys to become members. And it's not, again, the emotes and everything, all of that stuff is really cool, but what it really comes down to is when someone provides value that I find increases my knowledge and increases my wealth, there's absolutely no reason on earth that I wouldn't want to pay them for that, even if it's just for the karma of it all. Because a lot of you, that's another question in the chat that a couple of you keep asking. Yeah, I'm Callaway Jones. Nice to meet you all. I know you didn't know my birth name, my government name, it's because I'd be on the run. Just kidding. But
you are in space.
The bottom. What's that?
You are in space right now, so maybe you are in the run. I don't know.
The bottom line, though, get that membership. It's valuable, and I'll be honest with you. A lot of times when I'm trading with these guys in the mornings and I'm watching the chat, it's the green names that are the ones that I'm paying the most attention to. Not because everyone's input isn't helpful, but because I know that the green names are more serious about what they're doing. This is a little bit more For some of you, it's just viewing, traders. For some of you, though, this has become your job, especially during COVID times when everyone's locked away, everyone's at home, people can't go out and work, we're at record lows on jobs and all this kind of stuff. You can still trade. You can still invest. You can still find ways to secure your future. And these guys are helping to show you how. And in the chat, it's easy for us to identify who's a little more serious about it when we see those green names. So if you can afford it, get that membership. And if you can't, keep trading until you can and grab that membership. It's $5.
Look, appreciate, of course, everything you say there, and we appreciate our members, and we love the support that we get. What I always also like to say, too, guys, is you've talked much about the community that we have here, and it's very, very important, I think, because no one wants to trade alone. It's hard enough as it is to be a successful trader, especially if you want to make it your career. So grow that group. If you want to share it with your friends, share it with people that you think might be interested in this type of community that we're building here. That Michael's doing a fantastic job talking about. I think Brendan's got some more news for us. I want to make sure we keep you guys updated.
Somebody found it. Somebody found the number, guys. It's 122 million. So Herbalife paying over 122 million to resolve this case to the U.S. Justice Department. One more update there, guys.
All right, I just want to give a quick shout out to the people that have been sending some super chats here. Dre Frequency and Badass Truck and Babe. Thank you so much for supporting us there. I got a very important question. For you, my man. A lot of people in the chat are asking for my social media. I don't have social media because I don't really post too much. But one of the other reasons I don't have social media because I'm rocking this little phone of mine here, this BlackBerry of mine. I need to know your thoughts on BlackBerry because right now you're talking to two people that are in the BlackBerry game. So I want to know your thoughts on where you stand.
Well, I'll say this on BlackBerry. They're tough as nails. They're a bulldog. And the reason I say that is what was the Neil, what was the IPO that opened the other day?
There's been a million IPOs. You're not talking about the one yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Xpeng.
There we go.
Yeah.
Xpeng. That new electric car that is challenging Tesla, their operating system was developed by BlackBerry.
This is the thing that kills me, man. Like, okay, it's not, okay, a little bit of background here. BlackBerry, Canadian company out of the city of Waterloo. I went to the University of Waterloo, so, a lot of people that I went to school with ended up working at RIM, BlackBerry. This is what it's, so for me, I do know a lot of people there, so I have a bit of a defense of it, and I do like the product, all that caveat said. But they made a pivot a while ago, and they have a pretty strong business when it comes to that software that does running cars and security as well. So that's my little spiel on it. I try not to, I'm not the biggest believer in the stock per se, so I'm not going to sit there and pump it. I do like my phone that I still have here, guys. But, it is what it is. I think it's always interesting to see different companies and how they develop. It was absolute, for people who are younger, BlackBerry was a monster at one point. And I would go, you could be commuting or something, and everybody in a train or a bus or wherever it was had a BlackBerry. Obviously, that's not true now. The real cult is an Apple. I don't have one, but if you're not on board in that stock, I hate to say it. The reality is it's going up. I do want to jump back, and I have only one position. It's JE. It did start to roll over again. It just keeps holding 50, so I keep shorting it. It just started to get some out here at 45, 46 on the way back down to that 42, 43. I will just continue to play this retracement on this stock probably all day long, as long as it wants to do volume and as long as it wants to hold resistance levels. You'll see me jumping in all day. That's what it's all about. And no, Valeria, I can't let my BlackBerry go. It is what it is. I'm comfortable in my own skin here. You can make fun of me all you want for the keyboard, but it's just me. It's just the way I am.
This BlackBerry of mine is also staying until this one breaks. There's no way I'm giving up this phone. There's a lot of pressure from everyone around me to get rid of this phone. Absolutely not happening.
Why?
Absolutely not happening. So everybody who is in the BlackBerry game, who likes BlackBerry, give us some likes. Give the BlackBerry some likes. The phone, not the stock, just the phone. Just because there's a lot happening. I'm trying to put as many likes in here, whether it's BlackBerry, whether it's our guest, whether it's Neil, whether it's me, it doesn't matter. Just hit us up with some likes. Remember, I have an objective in mind to kind of just give this to Sean. Be like, hey, listen, Sean, this is what happened on Friday. We got this many likes. Let's see what you can do. Just hit us up with the likes.
And of course, the more you guys love Arun, remember, like we take days off, and then Arun gets to jump in there. So I feel like the more you love him, the more you're telling me to spend more time with the fam, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, like all jokes aside, I do want to jump in. I guess you guys maybe do like the BlackBerry gang, a couple here. There's only one that's a square, by the way. Most phones look a lot better than the one he has. I think it's like the ugly.
This is by far the best phone I think BlackBerry has made. Yes, it's still running the BlackBerry OS, which was the last generation, but at the same time, this phone fits my hand so perfectly well. Yeah, this is a plug for this phone specifically. This phone, I don't care about every other phone. This phone specifically, this one right here.
The Black. That 2020 would be the year that we would see people arguing over Blackberries.
Absolutely. If I'm around, definitely.
Like it's also probably not happening anywhere in the world right now. There's like over 6 billion people on Earth. The only people talking about BlackBerry and arguing over it being good are myself and Arun and you here, Michael. So I guarantee you that. Walmart here, I just want to quickly mention, I do see some people getting the ramp-up trade. Nice little bounce off VWAP retracement. Of course, this is the deal. If you haven't been following along, joining Microsoft, their bid for TikTok is leading the group. They actually wanted to go. They wanted to lead a bid with SoftBank actually, and Google as the secondary and third parties there. But they are going with Softy. I have a 140 that I'm interested in right now for potential break. You saw it fall on the news through 141. Nice little scalp opportunity, I think, on a 140 break here through lunchtime. Only about 20 minutes to go here, but yeah. On our chat, Valeria's asking me if BlackBerry pays me. If they wanted to. Sure, why not? I could always use a new phone.
You know what's better than being paid? For them to actually make another phone and not passing it off to some unknown company, which is coming next year. So if BlackBerry, if you're listening, can you make another phone just for me and Neil? And then you can go back and give it off to someone else? Because, yeah, I would really appreciate a brand new BlackBerry phone there, Neil. I know you've got the latest one, but I'm still sitting on this baby right here, which is at least 3-4 years old at this point, and it's still running perfectly fine. Only thing, no social media, guys. I do not have social media. Only place you're gonna see me is on here on Trader TV. So if you guys ever want, just join me.
Which will definitely make Sean unhappy.
What's that?
Is you can just send like all kinds of DMs to Sean and then make him ask Arun those questions, and that's how you can get.
Oh, he's not gonna be happy about that.
Of course, a cruel thing to do, and the fair thing would be to probably like throw that at me instead, because I probably undeserved. Don't do that to Sean. It's kind of mean. He answers enough questions online as well. I do have to get into a reversal trade here for you. I had what quite possibly is my worst trade of the day. It's not going to be P&L the worst, NTNX here. But, you know, there was that breakout, and I got shook out, and I said, like Allen Iverson shaking Michael Jordan, that's going to be true. You saw it extend to 28. Now there's a bit of a rollover happening, and this is the time of day I like to make this play. If it can't hold 27.50, I'm going to jump into this here, to the short side. Could be one. There's a few names like this. I see Ross, one of our members, asking about big. There's always going to be reversals. Anything that's gone parabolic in the morning. I try to pick my spots with these. I think one of the things that I sort of like, that I like about this is you kind of look at the previous breakout price is sort of like 26.70. It gives you a scalp right back into what could be previous resistance turning into support. So I go to the daily time frame, and it gives me like a bit of a scalp idea and a target that I can work with here. Not necessarily just saying, oh God, it's going to go to VWAP here. I need more than that. Brendan, what do you got for us?
Just running through some of the names doing some volume right now, guys. GCI, Gannett here up 10% today on earnings. So they reported better than expected, just took out day highs there. Big volume spike. Yeah, that big lot's also an earnings name today, up on that news as well, guys.
Yeah, I should say that was pretty. I see a couple people. It was pretty cold by me. Don't flood Sean's thing just to talk to Arun. Look, I mean, obviously, we're all here, and we communicate with you guys through Twitter and on the show. And look, as much as Sean is coming back, Arun is always here. He trades every single day. He gives his futures outlook. Well, maybe if you literally in the middle of the day have a question about the futures, like throw it in the chat, tweet at one of us. I mean, we can get in contact with him, and he's not going anywhere. I promise you that. Arun is going to be trading until you pry his cold, dead hands away from the keyboard. That's how we all are. Michael, I'm sure.
I mean, I am going back to my cave on Monday, and then I'll be trading in my hoodie, not having to deal with an AC. But yeah, I'll be accessible. If someone just sends it through the chat, they can definitely get in contact, or I'll just send a reply back to Valeria, whoever kind of sends that message in there. But yeah, I'm around. Trading is, one of those things that you just, when it fits your personality and you can find a way to make it happen, absolutely, it's one of the best things in the world. A lot of the time, a lot of the time, you're just sitting around and waiting for, like for me, futures trades. There's not that many that happen. When they happen, they make a ton of money, right? This week, so far in 5 trading days, 4.5 trading days up till now, I've made 2 trades on the futures, and those 2 trades have made me a killing. So it doesn't mean that you have to trade every single day. I think a lot of new traders as well, they feel like because they're sitting at the screen, they have to trade every single day. You can't force your trades. You do have to let your plan. We talked about this earlier, right? You have to let your plan work out. You have to let everything set up for you. So for me, futures, there's not that many trades. A lot of the time, you guys, I come on at 925, whatever the case is, I'll give you guys the levels. But then there won't be that many trades that I can take, that I can give you. So a lot of the time, I'm sitting around being like, yeah, these are levels, but I don't have any trades. I'm going to be waiting and watching, waiting and watching. That's going to be a repeated sentence you're going to hear out of me. So one of those things, guys, if trading, definitely one of those things that once you're in it, it's very hard to let go of because of the amount of money it can make you if you're actually on top of your game. The second is just, some people find it exciting. I find it more to be work, but at the same time, hey, money's money. It doesn't matter how you get it. If you make it properly, if you get on top of your game, you will make money.
Don't sell drugs.
Well, well, you don't have to worry.
Like, I was sitting there, I'm like, it doesn't matter how do you make it. I'm like, well, it kind of does. But the good thing about trading is it is legal. Look, this is what it's all about. I'll double down on this sentiment though, because what I've found is, once I was trading for, maybe the first 6 months to a year, it didn't take very long for me to say, good gracious, I really hope I don't have to do anything else. The sort of the freedom that it gives you as a trader, like you eat what you kill. I think that's sort of the line that I like to use. There's a satisfaction. And look, nothing against anybody working a 9 to 5 when you work for somebody else. You don't always see the effect that you have in the company. You do a report, whatever it might be, and you don't see it out there. And if you have a job where you get that gratification, like I did this, I made that trade, I made that money, or like yourself, Michael, you're in the arts. My brother's an animator as well, by the way. And that's another job. We have a passion for it. He sees directly. He does a show. This is what I contributed. That's a character that I designed. There's that satisfaction. You get that from trading. I know that's what we're all hunting for, but there is no way around it. You have to put in the work. It is not easy. A lot of people will fail. And one of the things that I find is the reason is that they just don't find they might not put. It's not the effort. Sometimes it's just that perseverance where. You have to give it a certain amount of time. There's certain lessons you have to learn. There's certain losses you have to take, and there's no way around it. One benefit you can have from a community is you actually get to benefit from the lessons that other people had. So if you see me talk about how I just got shaken out that NTNX trade, which was a good call, the level was good, the break, it went 10% to the upside. It's because I don't want you to lose on that trade when you have a read like that. I want you to make money as well. And nobody's perfect, and we're all going to make those mistakes. And you're going to learn, I think, sometimes more from your missteps than your successes. That's just my personal opinion. But Brendan, can't leave him waiting because he always has the juice. What do you got, bud?
Speaking of things to have a look at possibly this afternoon, guys, play quietly. Dave & Buster's quietly having quite the day here. 11.4%. Just took out day highs as well on decent volume. 4.5 times relative volume for Dave & Buster's today. No significant catalyst. Again, just part of that travel group, really, guys.
All right.
I love Play.
What's that?
I love Play. It's a great stock. I've made a pretty penny off of them over the summer. I just wanted to really quickly. Mills asked what what moisturizer I use. It's Mother Africa. I just literally look like this. Just Mother Africa. Vinay wanted to see the full shirt. It's Blockbuster Video. A lot of you are too young to know what that is. Back in the day, we used to have what's called date night, where we would go out of the house. You would go to this store. They had all these videos, and then you'd wander around and read the boxes. Well, you would pretend you were reading the boxes, but really, you and your date were kind of filling each other out, seeing what comedies you like, what horror movies you like. Date might end right there if you like some whack movies, but Blockbuster Video is a very important part of our history for you kiddos out there. Also, shout out to Elizabeth. She lost basically a Tesla from Kodak. She got in on, I just wanted to point this out because it was pretty funny. And it's okay because she's rich. But she literally lost about a Tesla's worth of money. She got in on Kodak on the way back down from 40 and refuses to pull out. She's just waiting for it to go back up. So rest in peace to her bank account. And Rock Doc, thank you. I appreciate that. And I always try and bring positivity to whatever it is I'm doing, particularly this show when I have the chance to be on, because like I said, you know, these guys, and Neil probably, he'll remember, the first time I was on the show, I had just had my first $1,000 day.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you know, I've grown so much with these guys. Before that, back then, I was still under the PDT rule. And since then, I've been way out of that rule multiple times, like new tax bracket levels and back down to that rule multiple times. And what he said earlier that I really think is super important is that you have to go through certain things as a trader when you start out in order to learn those lessons. No matter how many times Neil tells you to do something or not do something from his experience, until it happens to you, it's not gonna stay. It's not gonna stay with you. It's not until you blow up your own account. It's not until you take your first loss. You like that first time you lose $100, you're like, oh my God, I lost $100. But then a couple months later, that first time you lose 1,000, you're like, oh my God, I lost 1,000. My first day losing 20K was insane to me, but now I look back at that and that's fine. I've done that plenty of times. I've also had days where I made 20, 30, 40K. And the levels just keep going up as long as you stay consistent. But the fact is, you have to go through certain pains in order to grow. And that's just one of my favorite animation, not an animation, it's an illustration. One of my favorite illustrations is there's this baby cub and there's a lion over him, and the lion has like 80 arrows in his back. And those are the arrows, and it's showing kind of like when you start out, you don't have any battle scars, nothing's happened, but as you grow, you know, you get all these arrows in your back, you get all these battle scars, but at the end of the day, you now understand how to respond to that situation. And I'm pretty sure these guys have been trading for a very long time. So they've seen situations that a lot of us haven't even thought of that are gonna come across our path at some point or another. So do your best to take notes and just take in all the information that these guys are dropping, because the knowledge here is incredible. And I can't preach that enough. I know I'm pumping these guys up a lot, but it's only because they pumped up my bank account. I'm always gonna pump up something that pumped up my bank account. And at the end of the day, when things are so fickle and we don't exactly know where the future is going, it's really awesome to be able to rely on something that you built out, that you are in control of. Like Neil said earlier, having a boss is one thing, being a boss is another. And this is how I decide what I'm buying, by the way. Here's an iPhone, right? I'm streaming right now on my iMac, which is my MacBook is right here charging next to that. I'm wearing friggin' Beats. Obviously, I'm going to buy Apple. And the reason for that is because Apple pays for all of these things. I didn't pay for any of this, Apple did, and I mean that. Same thing with Disney. I didn't pay for my season pass at Disney. Disney paid for my season pass at Disney. Figure out the things that are in your life that you use on a daily basis, because that's a pretty good indicator that that company's not going anywhere. And then let that company pay for the things that you're using in your life. But this is just one of my little philosophies. I don't know, Neil, do you guys kind of feel the same way?
Well, with a slight difference, because, and I'll say this, like, I don't have an Apple. Almost my entire family uses it, like me, my brother, my dad, like everyone's in the Apple ecosystem, and I'm an Android guy using a BlackBerry phone. But you got to be aware of that. So I would take a little bit step further. Is you also look at other trends, right? Because everybody's going to be different. And I understand that I'm a bit of a nerd. I love science fiction. Not everyone loves what I'm going to love. But if I see everyone else in love with a product that maybe it's not something that I use, you got to pay attention to that. So it's more like the things that are in your life, that are in everyone's everyday life, that are not going anywhere. So that's probably the only thing I would add to that. Of course, me not being an Apple a user myself, but look, if you're not involved and you can't notice that type of a trend, it's going to be difficult. And that's a great place to start when it comes to investing in your own account, which is a little different from trading. Brendan, as usual, you got something for us, buddy?
A couple of things, guys. Hilton here, just noticed popping up on a volume scanner, just breaking day highs here on HLT through 90.50. A nice little move, volume coming back into a few names in this group. LVS, MGM kind of pulling in a bit, but Hilton leading the way. Looks like into day high territory, guys.
All right, I just want to add one more to continue on what was being said there. When it comes to trading, like I can give you guys the futures, like the way I like to look at the futures, right? I use 30-minute charts, 60-minute charts to kind of get a bigger picture view, and then I'll just dig deep into the chart itself to find the actual levels that I want to work with. And the reason I have no problem saying that is because the money is made in the details. The actual strategy itself, it doesn't matter. I can tell you exactly what I'm doing, and that is what I try to do, telegraph exactly what I'm doing. But the money's in the details. When I say I'm looking at the volume, I'm reading the volume, that comes from experience, that comes from time, and of course, it's one of those things that you just develop over time. Like you said, you need to be battle tested a little bit to learn that. And to be battle tested, I know there was one point early on in my career where I essentially battle tested Neil's heart, because there was one position I had taken in the futures that had swung from a $20,000 winner to a $20,000 loser in about 5 seconds. And I know Neil, because we were back when he had his office. I was in one room because they had extra space, and I just took over. My computers just took over that space, and I was in that one room, and I can hear Neil whispering in his head, "Get out, get out, get out!" And I'm here looking at my screen, going, "Oh no, I can't get out." And then we had a conversation after, but I remember that happening, and unfortunately, it did end up being a hit. But I'm just saying situations like that aren't, like, not to that degree, but those will happen. It doesn't have to be that big of a loss, but situations like that where you're just kind of put in shock. From Neil's perspective, from my perspective, it was like, oh shit. But from his perspective.
Okay, so here's, I got to temper that a little bit here, just because there's one thing, if you've ever done risk managing, for, obviously most of you guys probably haven't being traders, but there's a weird thing that can happen when it's like someone else's trade and you're not in control, and you're a trader yourself and you're used to being in control. So the reaction that I'll have to it is just like, what's going on? And really, if I were to look at what, going into that day, what Arun's performance had been in the months leading up to that, obviously wasn't really worth a freak out, but it was just sort of that being accustomed to being in control for me, which is going to be the truth. That's why I sort of reacted in that way. And it is kind of a funny story because it was true. We were in different rooms. Definitely we spent too much on rent, and we had twice as much space on our trading floor than we needed. We do have to, I know the market is only 7 minutes left, guys. I know we're having a lot of fun, and you have another solar flare going on there, Michael, but try to work through that. Xpeng here, I'm still just sort of not amazed by, but going to take note the overall sort of like weakness. There's this chop zone that this stock is making, and I only have 2 days worth of action here. This like 23-ish, low 23 range, then maybe just slightly lower than that, 22.50. Like this little 50-cent range, there's support down there, but it can't bust it. I just feel like at some point, if it can't break out of this, I'm gonna be shorting this one through that 22.50 area. We have the ability to pay for shorts here, day trader. I'm gonna go for it if we can get it. It's not gonna happen by the end of the show unless it drops in the next 5 minutes. But the fact that it could gap up after that sell-off that I saw, then retest the high, and then just not make any push here going into lunchtime. I'll probably be looking to fade that one through 22.50. If it does make a breakout, I'll probably stay away from it. And if it 25 goes, rocket ship, whether that's next week or whenever that might be. I don't think it's going to be this afternoon, unfortunately. For those of you who've been waiting to buy Xpeng, certainly you can buy it down here if you want. I'm going to be waiting for a 25 breakout. That's the only thing I can really dig into for a trade that I like. And all I have on is that JE. Still short in front of 50. I'll probably keep doing that all day long, as long as it wants to keep paying me off to the downside. That retracement's been good. You got to stick with that plan here. Having a lot of fun with you, of course. All jokes aside, like we try to be serious as well. I just want to give you an opportunity there if there's anything, just in terms of like stocks I might be looking at, or just what your final words might be. A setup, whatever. I'll sort of give you the floor here. I've given you the names that I'm looking at for the afternoon. Not a heck of a lot, but I believe Xpeng could be a player to the downside, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we had a great trading day today, and I was just gonna do one more. Hit us with the likes, give our guests some likes, give Neil some likes. Production tried their best but failed with that animation. We will fix that and we will be back. But just hit us with the likes. I just want to get as many likes as possible. Thank you, production. That is the exact pew that I was looking forward to. So just, go ahead, continue on what you were gonna say, my man. But I just wanted to give you some likes, or try to get as much likes as possible before we sign off. You can go ahead and continue on.
Appreciate it, brother. Everyone in the chat saying make me a regular guest. I appreciate that, you guys. Anytime these guys want to bring me on, I'm absolutely down. You know me. I love you guys. I love being here with the crew. I love being in the chat and being as active as possible. For those of you asking about my socials and all of that, you can find me as Callaway Jones, all one word on Instagram. If you want to join the group on Instagram, just go ahead and message me. Again, it's just Instagram is just Callaway Jones, all one word. I'd give you my Twitter, but I'm highly political. You might not like that. But if you want to look it up, it is Michael Simpson J on Twitter. And absolutely feel free to add me. I'm all good with that, everybody. As far as what I'll be looking at this afternoon, look, you don't break kick what's already working. You don't try to fix what isn't broken. I don't recommend this, but Gaxi, I'm up 1,700 today. I was up 2,300 yesterday. I just have no reason not to stay focused on Gaxi. Although, again, it's a terrifying. One thing he said, and I don't know if Neil actually said what OTC stands for. It means over the counter, and basically it's like going into an alleyway and someone opens their trench coat and they're like, "I got some of this. Do you want it?"
It's not that bad.
And basically, it's just dangerous. You guys can get in it if you want to. Somebody said that we were pumping and dumping stuff. This isn't a pump and dump channel. It's not like that. Also, you have to understand the amount of volume you have to actually influence the market like that. If everyone in here followed anyone in here, it would be us. It would move a quarter.
One of the things I talk about too. It's like I'm telling you the stocks that I'm like shorting that on the way up. You think whatever it is, you guys want to pump it up against me, whatever. But I do want to show a level too, because we're talking about the pink sheets. I think maybe we can educate here. We do try to do that. This is the level 2 of the stock that you're mentioning. Look at these prints. I mean, literally, I didn't make this up. Like the last print, 500,000 shares just came off, right? So, obviously it's a 5-cent name, but it's done 144 million. There's a very slim possibility, and most people don't even have access to the pink sheets, the OTC. I keep saying pink sheets because I'm old. I've been trading a while. It is the OTC over-the-counter market. That's what we call it now. We actually, one of our good friends of the show, Jeff Mendel, VP Sales over there, has been on the show before. We'll talk all about this market, and maybe we should do an informational session on it because it is different. I mean, we talk about equities on the NASDAQ and the New York. We don't even get into Toronto very often. We're based here, of course. But there's other markets out there that you can trade in. And I think understanding, the different rules and how you might have to, you can apply some of the same strategies, of course, and some of the same things will apply. But there are things and little nuances that you want to pay attention to in each of these different markets. So I do appreciate you bringing it up because, certainly it's all about learning on this channel. That's what everyone's here to do. You're sitting here and you're experiencing the markets through us, and we're all trying to grow together as traders because it's hard enough as it is trying to trade by yourself. We got a couple of things we got to do before we get out of here. I know you know what they are, Michael. Let's go to Valeria.
Hi, Callaway Jones. So happy to see you join us again. Hi. I love your spaceship, and even more, I love your futuristic shades. I wish you all the luck with your trades and have a wonderful weekend. Trading family, we love you so much. What an amazing day today. We broke all the records. We reached 1.5K likes. Thank you so much. Your main inspiration and motivation. And welcome all new subscribers, all new members. We will see you on Monday, and we wish you an amazing weekend. And for now, go watch our next educational video on how to make money trading. And guys, in honor of all our BlackBerry users, there is no actually National BlackBerry Day. So starting today, August 28th is officially National BlackBerry Day. Happy BlackBerry Day,
guys. Everybody give Valeria some likes and give National BlackBerry Day that we have just established some likes. And BlackBerry, make a new phone for me, please. So shout out to everybody that's been watching this show, and shout out to our guests and Valeria. Thank you guys so much. Neil, you want to close us up here?
I love it. This is the only place you're going to find National Blackberry Day. And, it is what it is, man. Like,
Guys, can we put that back up real quick?
Can we?
This is Neil and Arun's next phone. So
Come on, son.
if anyone's wondering, the RIM, the RIM at the top stands for Research in Motion. So before it was BlackBerry, it was Research in Motion. So
I used to have to when I used to walk to class at university. You can look up how old RIM is, but I would walk past the RIM building when I would go to class when I went to school at the University of Waterloo. Proud graduate. That's a lot of the employees at RIM, BlackBerry. That's where they probably got their start. For any of those that are interested, probably not. If you're not in Canada anyways. But look, it's been fantastic. I'll call you Michael, of course, because we're on a first-name basis now. But Callaway Jones, we'll see you on the chat. As always, look, man, I loved having you on. I think we had an absolute blast. We do come to an end. It is 12 o'clock. The market's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We'll be back next week. Arun, we're ending the week here. I'm going to give you personal thanks. I think you did a fantastic job. 2 or 3 times this week. Arun's been doing his little talking about his setup or whatnot. I'm just staring at my program monitor, forgetting to think about my positions and what I'm talking about next, because I'm actually just listening to Arun, and I love getting that perspective. You can always learn. This is what it's all about here. But you know what I got to do? For Valeria, for Arun, for Sean, who's back next week, for Brendan Wickens, I'm Neil Roberts. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Trader TV Live. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot, Michael.
Stay hydrated.
Cheers, brother.